Okay, so is this like running?
We're live.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. Today is the regularly scheduled meeting and budget meeting of the Board of Selectmen. It's 8:35 on January 30th. You have before you the agenda. Could I get a motion to approve today's agenda? Steve, Amy, unanimous. The minutes from our regular budget meeting on January 23rd, you received a copy of those. Any additions or corrections to that? Can I get a motion to approve those minutes? Steve, Amy, Fiona.
Let's just keep this pattern, Steve. You first, I'll second, okay? It'll be quicker.
Public comments. Members of the public are welcome to provide comments to the Board of Selectmen on agenda topics scheduled for review and or vote. Comments submitted electronically should be sent to the following email address: bosdistribution@newcanancT.gov. Moving on to the budget review.
Deanna, just noting there was one comment that was sent to you all for the record. What I just
what do I do with that?
You should probably read it because it has to be distributed. Yeah.
Okay, so that will be on my email, my town email. 1 second.
Every day, pull up paper.
Okay.
Here.
Is this one? Dear Deanna?
Came in for Mr. Abramowitz.
Oh, no, is it? Okay, here's my, does it start here as my objection?
Yes.
Okay, so from Roy Abramowitz to the Board of Selectmen, it says, here is my objection: by allowing an elected Board of Selectmen member who is also a vendor to the town to vote on nominees to the audit committee renders the audit committee not independent in scope, practice, and appearance. That person should also not participate in the selection process. That elected official should recuse himself from all audit committee nominating procedures.
Thank you.
Any other comments online or? Nope, we're good. Okay. All right.
What do we do with that comment?
Yeah. Okay, moving on to budget review. Final review and discussion of the budgets for the fiscal year 2025, fee memos and vote to approve. So if Anne and Josh could come forward, that would be great. Thank you. I bring my fee memo with me.
Looking at this one, right? The one you just gave us.
Put on those.
That is the most up to date.
You gonna share your screen?
Sure.
It's not working. Oh, look at you.
Oh, I was struggling this morning. It's got a magnifier.
Yeah.
Who found that?
Man.
Tracy found it?
No, that was
Okay, we might have to ask him where he got that one.
I'll pay for myself.
Yeah, me too.
So the two things that I printed for you today are the most up-to-date copies of the expenditure and revenue summary, as well as just a small summary of the changes thus far that have taken place during the review process from the original number that you had gotten. And I can just quickly run through those if you like.
Sure, that'd be great.
So are these changes incorporated?
No,
They are.
no, these are not.
Those are my summary.
Oh, these summary. Oh, sorry, different list, different sheet of paper. Sorry. Okay.
Great. Okay, wait a minute. So the summary of changes
is in. Oh, so the summary of changes is in.
Yeah.
This one is not. I was confused too.
Thanks.
Summary of changes.
Too many sheets of paper up here.
So the biggest of the changes are just from receiving the Board of Ed's actual budget, their proposed budget, instead of the placeholder numbers that were in there. So their insurance changed from about 15.5 million to 17.8 million. Their expense summary went from what was in there as a 92.7 to 91.9. On our side, the tax supported as the incorporation of the Board of Ed also was an addition of 505,000. So it went from 1.47 to 1.97. and we removed a couple pieces from our capital plan, which is the removal of the parks equipment, field equipment accessories. That was a $45,000 removal, and a $10,000 removal on the fire tax supported for water supply, as well as below that is a $10,000 reduction from the staff vehicle addition from 90,000 to 80,000, but that's on the bonded side. And so that ended the tax supported capital transfer at 1.92 million. On the operating side, fire employee fitness program dropped from 10 to 5,000. Tax assessor office supplies dropped 200 from 22 to 2,000. Building gas, the building department gas and oil went from 2,000 to 1.2K. And human services, supplies, office, and dues and subscriptions dropped from 1,500 to 1,200 and 1,300 respectively. And that's the changes that have been integrated so far.
Okay.
The total, Josh, for the record, is 2 million.
It's 2 million, yeah. But most of that is a true up to what the proposed DOE budget was.
Great. So I think between the last meeting, budget meeting, and today, I think we've identified internally a few additional opportunities for cost savings. And, you know, you each have a sheet in front of you that we can go through. Maybe Anne, do you want to go through these?
Sure.
That would be great.
The first one I'll start off with our external audit. What we're billed and what we actually incur are two different numbers. So the engagement letter is $1 amount, and then we have the Board of Ed's piece and the town piece. So in reviewing the last couple of years, I feel comfortable that we should bring this number down because we're budgeting for the full amount, even though we don't pay the full amount because it's two-sided budget. So bringing that down about 20. Benefits with the discussion we had with the broker, and we were going to put $300,000 towards the trust. We had put in I think it was a 5% placeholder on our side until we got those numbers. And based on the broker's numbers and ours, we have 100,000. We could take that down to bring it to 6.3 versus 6.4. Truing up those numbers. Contingency, we originally we increased into contingencies for utilities and things like that because we don't know where that number is going because of the, you know, that number has been trending higher. We still have the 150,000 that we had used as that holder for utilities for the past 2 years that was in our special projects. So instead of increasing the contingency to do it, we have that reserve already in place that we can make sure that's in place to hold it.
That's across the board then, on
yeah, it's for everything. Yeah, we have enough in that one to support it.
As I was looking through it again last night, I was noticing how many times we increase utilities across the board, and almost every single little department has an increase in utility. So this is hopefully it's a small safety net, but it seems like that's the right thing to do. So
yeah, so we have that to take that out. We have, like I said, 150 left in that one account that we had used 2 years ago for fear of the utilities going higher than needed. And then, you know, DPW does go through and they look at all the different accounts to see who's trending higher and lower, and they watch that closely to see. So internally, there might be some changes between the departments. But we still have that contingency in the reserve. Legal in discussion with Ira, he feels that our number could come down about 25,000 on the legal fees. Park and Recs, admin. So when we set up when Park and Recs was in the operating fund, the programs were set up so that they covered part of the cost of the admin costs, people that aren't directly involved with the programs themselves. So when it shifted out, the concern of the Board of Finance at the time was what happens if we're going to start building a fund balance in this new self-sustaining. But the premise was that those programs would still look to support admin back in the general fund. So we're going to take $100,000 of their fund balance as a contra account against the wages
What is their fund balance?
I want to say it's about 200,000.
So that still gives them cushion if they want to do.
Yeah, just in case, because it's the first pilot year, I don't want to.
No, I don't pour with that.
Get comfortable, and then there's need, they have to buy new equipment for different programs.
Yep.
When they need to replace it. I want to make sure they still have that bumper, but we're starting off with this 100 to say, okay, that'll go against the admin costs in the operating fund.
That's good.
The town buildings, the service contract, this is the 220 Elm. This is actually in both Board of Ed and ours. It is a Board of Ed cost, so we're taking it out of our budget. It's the monthly one for, I can't think of the company right now.
Was it double book?
Yeah.
Yes,
Great.
yes.
Okay.
It's in their
Great.
budget. It was our, because originally they thought
Yep.
they might send it back as revenue to us, so we're keeping it clean. It's coming out of our budget. They're paying for it. And the next one we had was estimated costs related to rental properties that the town has. So repair and maintenance, equipment, replacement, anything like that for any of the properties that rent from us. We have a property rental fund for that purpose. And we're going to go through to see all the different areas where we rent to make sure the money is in that fund as well, so that the offsetting expenditures. So this one is just a move from taking it from operating and putting it against the rental fund for any of the properties that we may need repair and maintenance on. So it's shifting it over to the other fund, the expense. And then the next one down below is a revenue related change. We're closing out the dog fund, which you would have heard through the police department's budget. We've shifted the expenditure and revenue, so there is an offsetting revenue to the expenses, but they have a fund balance of about 61. I'm taking 60 for now, could be a little bit more, but conservatively just taking 60 so that by the end of this year, this fund is closed out.
So it's a one-time thing.
It's a one-time only, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a $500,000.
Okay.
Yes,
And so,
yeah.
Josh, I know you were working on that. I don't know if you already have those options accounted for in the
baked into the, not yet.
Okay.
I wanted to wait to see. what
Okay.
other changes.
Nope, that's great.
I'm working on that right now.
That's great. Okay. All right. So given those changes, so that's an additional 500,000 that we can count on to reduce the budget. So given those changes, now's our time to have any other comments on the town budget or the Board of Ed capital budget.
Well, how about just a straight out budget items, operating things, if I can bring up. And
Yep.
as I say this, no one is popular bringing up taking something out. So, but it's our job to try to watch taxpayers' dollars. And I think from where we sit, we can only comment on operations that are outside of the Board of Ed. So, which is, and if I did this right, Josh, it is like, so we're like on the town side, more like a 6.5% year-over-year increase, more or less, right? And I think a goal would be nice if we get to 5% for the town. I mean, we recognize their expenses for people. We definitely added people. We added.
Oh, you're taking the Board of Ed budget into that 6%?
No, I'm just saying our
Because
side.
we're below 6 already.
We're 5.8.
Yeah, we're 5.8 now.
Okay. All right, so I would. Is it? I'm sorry. Is it 5.8?
Just on the town side.
And then if we go into the fours for.
I mean, you have that. You're right. Are you adding the pension stuff? The
Where's the 5.8? I'm sorry. Oh, which?
5 up. This is operating up. Oh, other side. Other.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Okay, got it. Okay. All right, a couple things we brought up, and I'm just going to bring them up again.
Yep.
Okay, so we have, correct me if I'm wrong, in the budget, fully funding a counselor through Kids in Crisis.
A second one, yes.
Yeah, at 140.
That's for the 144, and that also doesn't include a grant, I believe. Cheryl, can you come up? Sorry. So my understanding is that it was 96 in the last budget for the high school Kids in Crisis counselor. And then for a period of time, we had a grant that supported the second counselor at Saks. But now that grant is gone.
Right.
And so the Human Services Department budgeted an additional 144 minus, so like another approximately $50,000 for basically half of that additional counselor, and then they were going to seek grants to offset the additional. So the 144 isn't even the fully loaded cost of both counselors. Right. It's a like 1.5.
208.
208 for both of them. And so okay, so given that now,
do you know, something was funded by a grant, does that mean we keep it in perpetuity?
Right.
So that's my question.
Right.
And I think a point you've made is that we've certainly done a lot to invest in mental health in the town. You know, we are supporting the Silver Hill program, et cetera. So, you know, is this something that could maybe not get funded?
Yeah.
And it's not that we don't care about people, right? But you know, we have a budget from the town side where we have definitely addition of 3 people. So we have the 3 police officers that everyone is supportive of and an IT person.
Right.
So,
and you also have a social worker, a new social worker.
And the Board of Ed budget
right.
has one more social worker in their budget for this year.
Right. Yeah, which we can't really comment on.
No, we can't comment on it, but it as a look to sort of
Mm-hmm.
looking out for the mental health and well-being of our youngest in this community. I think that this community is doing a lot to support our youth in this, you know, obviously we all read the newspaper and hear about mental health crisis, but we also know we're in a really tight budget year, and we need to be sort of very sharpening our pencils and what are needs and what are wants, and what can we do to help relieve some of the pressure on our taxpayers. So,
and also, I don't think we have a feeling how much this individual is engaged.
Right.
They could be very engaged. I don't know. Yeah. So it's like a number without anything. Right. I'm just, you know, again, at the risk of bringing stuff up that's unpopular.
Yeah.
I'm bringing stuff up that's unpopular.
So that would be an additional, if we took out part, so it's the 96 minus the 144. So the 144 minus 96, that would be what we could
cover one.
Okay.
It's so always tough when you get a grant and you put something in place and then that goes away, and it's, you know, and then that's how creep happens.
Yeah.
And it's just that if you don't look at the subject, it's just the principle of, like, in terms of the grants going away. You just can't keep growing a budget based on a one-off situation. So I would support that.
Yeah, and I would as well. So why don't we plan for that?
96.
Yes, take that down to 96.
So that's the saving
that would be $48,000, right?
Are we definitely hiring a wedding planner this year? I'm just gonna.
We just went out with an advertisement for that. That will come out of the self-sustaining fund.
Okay,
so
yeah, there's no one care about. That's fine. Right. And I just have to bring this up, and I am an enormous supporter of the library. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's just such an addition to a town, right? And I think it's great. And I know when you do a big project like this, no one's quite knows what's going to happen in terms of operating expenses, but I do believe when the library came forward, there was a thought that their operating expenses should stay somewhat constant. I know some of the expenses are associated with greater use, which is terrific, but some of the expenses are utilities, et cetera, that weren't expected. And you said to the library, can you come back and help us out a little bit and see where you could pull it in? I do understand all this stuff's expensive. It's not non-supporting, but I wonder if we could pull in the town-supported increase that they're projecting.
So the 2683 to the 294, so the 257.60, so the 10%, 9.5% increase.
I mean, a 5% increase would be, if I have it right, somewhere in the $134,000 range. And I think
what's in the library?
17.
Yeah. The library was asking for an increase of 257,000, more or less, from the town, a 9.6% increase. I'm just wondering, in the spirit of, it's a difficult budget, and I think we have to realize in this difficult budget too, we've had everyone's property's been reevaluated. So some people are really going to see, you know, if you're on the high side of the reevaluation, you're going to see a greater change in your taxes than if you were in I think we're up 25% grand list. So if you're in the 25% range, you're probably kind of stay stable. But if you're on that higher level, it's going to be kind of a tough adjustment. So
you're talking about a 5% year-over-year increase.
Yeah, or just some sort of believe me, I feel at risk even saying this, but I'm saying it.
Well, so they came forward with 9%. Was it
9.6? 9.6.
And you'd ask them to get down to
something less. I mean, you know, I mean, if we're trying in the town to be in the 5% range, I mean, that would be a significant reduction in what they're.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, they did a nice job kind of justifying some of the issues, but as we went through the building process, we really did stress the fact that we weren't going to, you know, that new building was going to try to maintain a similar footprint in terms of budget. So,
yeah. And the utilities hit them more than they expected, and that's what they're hoping would not. And maybe that shakes out over time. And certainly utility expenses for everyone went up. So I'm not, it's just,
what does that equate to?
So it's 134. Yeah, sorry.
It would, if we gave them 5%, it'd be 134,000. So, you know, which is a savings for us of, I don't know, 80,000, something like that.
Yeah.
3. And again, you know, we just recommended the Board of Finance has the ability to go up and down, so the library could, you know, make the case. I'm just trying to.
Well, and the library, to be fair, the library's not here today, so they would get a second bite of the apple by presenting it to the Board of Finance. But it's a suggestion.
Yeah, just a suggestion.
Yeah.
So
well, it's either a suggestion or we take it out today and then they can put it back in.
True.
So that.
Or we could, you know, go in the middle somewhere. You know, I mean, rather than 257 increase, you know, 5% be 134. I don't know, 175. I mean, you could just do something just because we did say, can you tighten your pencils?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Which I think they were open to too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
But that seems like, you know, it seems a lot to go from 9+ down to 5. I mean, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But at 9.6%.
Yeah.
Year-over-year budget increase is a little hard to stomach this year too. So, well, I would, you know, I could, you know, if we want to kind of ease into it, maybe we say, you know, we cut them.
Maybe we do 7% or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Halfway to that.
So 7% would be.
I'm just into the raw dollars. So
yeah, well,
which is
we got Josh hanging.
Maybe
half
yeah. So like. We'd give them you could give them 175. Oh, 187. I was going to say 175. So
we're close.
We're close. All right. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's do that. All right. Anything else?
Operating side stuff.
Yeah, on the operating side.
I do.
Okay, good.
And again, none of this I feel good about, you know, bringing up, but we did in Albie, where are you? We have an unfilled fire assistant chief, right? We have that. And I'm also going to also note that in the last 2 years, we did add the emergency management position, which has an assistant. So, okay. So I don't, and again, emergency management we used to do with volunteers, 100% volunteer program. And I don't know if any other town has a full-time emergency management salaried person in place. So this is not a reflection of any person. It's just in terms of, these are things that we used to have people in the community do for us. And so I don't know if there's some flexibility within either of those, or, you know, could the emergency management position also be help on the assistant fire chief position? I'm just throwing out options. And again, this is no reflection on anybody. It's just trying to see how we manage our budget going forward. So.
Yeah. Okay. So Deanna and I met with Albie. We talked about the full-time assistant fire chief. He was willing to kind of look at different ways of handling it. He did put a memo in front of you that would take the assistant chief out. What it would do was to put more money in so that he could bring more trainers in, use his captains in other areas, to see how that works for a year. So I know the number he asked is high. Maybe you do a third of that, but he's at a training in Fairfield, so he can't be here, but he asked if the board would be willing to put something into a budget so that he could do some training, bring trainers in, and also work with his captains.
So the ask is it 120 for the individual plus benefits?
Plus benefits, plus a car.
Right. So, but Albie's saying that he could work with something.
The 70, he has in the memo, it says 71.
Right.
Yeah.
In overtime.
Yeah. With,
so
talk about working with us. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So I mean, I've seen what he's trying to do. I mean, I went over last week to the training with the volunteers, and I mean, he's really trying to sort of bring everybody together and get everybody's skill set up. So I think, I'd like to support him in those efforts, because he's really
terrific. He's terrific.
Yeah, he's really working hard. So I could do we think the 71 in overtime sounds reasonable?
I mean, I'm taking his direction on that. And I got it different.
Yeah, I think he's looking at that he needs individuals for like an extra 800 hours to do certain trainings and to be able to promote and work within his captain structure. So that's how he came up with this number, whether you do all of it or a third of it. I think he's just willing to try and look at different things before he brings the assistant chief up.
I'm supportive of his request. I mean, that's an incredible working, no car, no benefits. I mean, that is, talk about working as a team. I think that's really impressive.
But Cheryl, to your point though, is he actually saying that, did he say he could do with less than 71, or is that?
What he said was he came up with 71. He at this point is willing to take whatever the board will give him, understanding that those 5 items at the top are items he won't be able to cover, but he's figuring if he can get trainers in, utilize his captains, that will free him up a little bit. I think, as he said to Deanna and I, he's working 60 plus hours a week. And that's right. He's just trying to figure out how to manage that.
Yeah. I mean, if this could help him get through this year, it's not precluding him from coming to us next year and say, all right, we did this, let's net this out, and we should bring someone in when we have a better sense of.
Can we track this number separately than other overtime? I just because, I think we need to sort of get a handle on what is his needs for training overtime versus straight out overtime. Because I don't want him to be penalized, because I know I've sat in enough other board meetings. Overtime is like the biggest issue. And I think we need to sort of make sure we're tracking this and really be able to next year make a better decision on, is this the right way to go? Is he able to manage under this scenario? Or if we need to reevaluate an assistant chief. So if we could do that just for this year, that would be helpful. And are you comfortable with that, or do you want to lower it a little bit, or?
I mean, I was thinking like 50,000.
Yeah. I think, yeah. All right, I'm okay with 52.
50?
Yeah, okay. Let's do 50 in overtime, and we'll.
And so the budget impact of that.
I didn't ask you, are you okay with 50?
Yeah, I'm good. I was glad you said, not me. So
it's just Albie's working and obviously showing us that he wants to work here, and we want to work too. But it's also the messaging that we really want to cut this budget. I mean, it's
yeah. I mean, in the past, I think the budgets just got sent over, right? And I think that. I don't think you're, as a first selectman, you want to send a budget over like this. No. We want to help you.
Thank you.
Okay. So how does that benefit the budget?
So the car's 80.
Well, the car would be bonded, so that
okay, but that goes.
Well, it would be 120 off with another 50 on, so it'll be 70, and then Social Security will change a little bit. But that'll take a minute.
But so the 120 to the 50 is 70,000 right there, and plus benefits. So that's like a delta of close to 100.
And the benefits are usually 40% on the salary.
That's like
not
100. That's like
even
about
included.
100,000 delta, right?
Correct. That's not even included.
So Deanna, so we added another.
On that list.
So that's another 150 that we've brought down expenses from the
initial list.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's right.
So that's kids in crisis.
It was, didn't we get 48,000 by pulling back the kids in crisis?
Oh, in total right now.
Yeah.
So kids in crisis, we have 150 from fire assistant chief. Okay. So that all we cut for them?
That's getting you cumulatively, and you brought it down. Wait, which ones are in? Which ones are not?
This thing is not in.
What isn't?
This one, she wanted to know which ones.
Oh yeah, this one.
Yeah, so the 440 are not in right now, and then we just added another 160, so like 600,000 plus. That's expense reductions, correct?
Wait, how much was fire? Because I had a higher number, so.
I said 100 for fire.
Okay.
The savings net of.
Yep, of everything.
Oh, no.
So okay, so we're at 148 right now, down an additional 148.
Absolutely.
Is there a line on it for 401 in that as well, or?
Not for that position now. The 401s are calculated off of one payroll period snapshot in time, the percentage that they put towards it, a given person.
Yeah.
And then multiplied by that salary.
Because that's the other, we talked about electricity earlier, but the 401 lines, repeat itself over and over and over again. When you look at the percentages, that line is always higher than.
Because you have the
it just
the
isn't
plan is
cumulative.
supposed to non-bargaining. Thank you.
Yeah.
So non-bargaining. So people that would have been retired out on a pension, those replacements are coming in as a 401. So you're hoping that your pension liability is coming down somewhat to offset that increase.
Yeah.
But that 401 represented about 8,400 on that one position.
Right.
Yeah.
What else you got there, Ann?
Okay. The emergency management. So like we have Albie who's got a full-time job and asked for a full-time person. He has no assistant. We're going to support him. Emergency management, it's not a big line item, but we do have an assistant. I didn't realize we did. It's $15,000, and just how warranted is that? And just to be fair across people. It's not a big number, but if we're asking other departments not to. And why is it an assistant needed when we have an entire group of professionals here that she's working with?
Yeah, I mean, if it's
this is no fun.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
I know.
This is no fun.
No, I agree with you. The messaging isn't right.
Yeah.
That we've got we aren't giving our full-time fire chief a assistant.
Right.
And we have an emergency management person with an assistant.
Also, there are people in town who are happy to do this. We used to have Mike Hander who did it for free. Yeah. And we have a lot of talented people who, if we need somebody, I'm sure we could get somebody to help us out. Yeah. If it's needed. That's just my thought. And again, all this stuff, we can remove it. People can make their case to the Board of Finance. Yep. Otherwise, but it's just kind of, I don't feel comfortable just saying, here are all the numbers, pass it forward. We should at least, try to see what we can do.
Yeah, I see the point, especially after what we just did with the chief. So
yeah,
I support that.
Yeah, and I will too. I will too support that too.
That's the 15,000.
15. Yeah. again, not a big number, but it's kind
Yes.
of
And no statement on anybody's value to the town.
Nope.
No statement.
Other little things.
Okay.
So I think in your budget for training, there was 7,400 put in. I think the treasurer requested something in 2,400.
Yeah.
Do we need to pay for that? I don't know. Or, that seems like a big number. And for you, for the 5,000, what does that cover? Is it the semi-annual GFOA meeting?
GFOA, the national GFOA meeting, we try to do once every other year.
In which we do consistently. We've always done this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It stopped obviously during COVID. And then Munis or Tyler, if needed, but Tyler's not in this year. And then we look forward to see where they are.
I'm sorry, Tyler.
Tyler's our software system, Munis. So for any, new updates, things like that.
Training
on that.
But are those you attend, or is it Zoomy, or what is
You
it?
attend.
Okay. And where are they?
That's what we look at to see if they're on the West, because they're national, they try to do West Coast, East Coast. If they're going West Coast, we're not going to those ones. The expense is just so much more. So then that's what we try to do every other year to see if they do it around the East Coast or sometimes Texas a lot of time. So that's our plan is every other year. And then what I'm doing internally for my staff, we have a training session in 2 weeks. It's a 4-day one on overview of everything.
Okay, good.
So it's like 5 people and it's $400 for that whole week. So
yeah, but that's cheap. That's good value.
That's a big benefit for us on that way. But the GFOA is the national one that we find out a lot of the GASBs and all the current things.
Yeah, we do that every 2 years. So we did it during COVID, so this is just expensive.
No.
Yeah, that's all it is.
I value a well-trained finance staff.
I agree.
in the building. It's really important.
Okay.
So
you need the full 5. Is that fair?
Yes,
okay.
I would.
All right.
I definitely want my staff. What I want to do is make sure I have a lot of cross training as well. There's a lot of silos, so I need a lot of that cross training so that if someone decides they leave or whatever, we have a consistent base of knowledge and what this person does, how it affects this person. They need to know that level that when they do these entries, how that affects someone else.
Yeah.
So that's the gist.
I mean, look, the in-house training for to me, absolutely positively. And if the GFOA is once every other year, that's fine. The new line item is the request from Andrew for 2,400. I'm not particularly comfortable with that. Nope.
Do you want to? I'm on the line. Oh, and I just texted over
Andrew, we can't hear you. You've got to.
Are we taking comments? I don't think we're taking comments.
No.
Can we? Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's Andrew.
That's Andrew, but he can't really hear him.
We can't hear you. You have a bad connection.
Are you looking at me?
I don't know. I don't know. Is it appropriate for a treasurer, but an elected official, to get training paid for by the town? I don't know. I don't have any training in my budget. I will tell you that. Okay. And and I'm full-time. I don't have any training. Right.
And
we have trained commissioners, and it's usually $50 to $100 per commissioner. That's usually planning and zoning in wetlands. But it's a very small amount.
Yeah, and commissioners and volunteer,
right,
100%. So it's a hard one for me to say this is in this budget year. It makes sense to add this personally. Yeah. I mean, because and also the treasurer, their salary did get increased.
Yeah, it was 17%.
So
it's a big, that was a big pop. That was a big pop.
And again, anybody can argue this back to the Board of Finance.
Yeah.
Make their case.
Okay.
So
okay.
And not a big item, but all of a sudden these 15, 2,000, they add up almost as 100,000. Yeah.
That's
so
fine for it's 10,000.
There we go.
Thank you.
So down to 5,000.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But with it earmarked for the finance department. Yeah. I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
What else on your list? I had a question about the transition on page, so we're on page 10 under the police. At Locust Avenue, some of the transition happening over there. So if you go to the line item on electricity and then gas and oil, you've got 8.7% increase and a 22.27 increase on those two lines. Is that because we're going to be operating 2 buildings at the same time, or why are those 2 items so high?
Police department.
The gas and oil
Yeah.
is up, I think, because of the 3 new police officers and 3 new cars.
Oh, 3 new cars.
Oh, we're adding 3 new cars, that's right.
That's why it's so high.
Okay.
The other one.
The propane and fuel oil.
Because that's one's up to 100 and.
So the propane and fuel is pretty low. That's the 4,500, right? Unless I'm missing.
Mine,
No,
no,
one
it's the one above that.
Oh, sorry. I was. Oh, electricity.
Oh, yes, I even have it on lower and I was,
So electricity was, I think we did, was 17% off of the actuals from the year prior, I believe.
Oh, just those numbers just seem.
midway down down towards the bottom, page 10.
Mhm.
The electricity line item.
Yeah.
With the 8.7% year-over-year
Got it.
increase.
And then there's that 22.2, that's the.
Yeah.
And Josh, you're saying that's the car.
Cars.
Yeah, that's the 3 new cars.
3 cars.
Yeah.
Does electricity, does it reflect the fact that more buildings?
Well, that's what I was wondering, are we talking about a building, are we gonna be looking at 2 buildings at the same time or something? That's.
Those costs should deal with the cost of the building
Like the
itself.
building department,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
with the cost of the actual building.
This is
There he is.
police. Isn't it? That's a police department though.
We're just talking about the PD.
We're at PD.
So I know,
They handle
so
the
we handle the
Oh.
electricity, so
Yeah.
for the police department, sorry, right now, we're utilizing the electrical account from the police department to pay the electricity at their temporary location. Based upon the lease, we have to pay for the electricity
Mhm.
at the temporary PD, so
Right.
we need the item there.
It's supposed to get 2 buildings. They need electricity for working on the
Turner
building.
pays for the electricity
Okay.
at the
Oh, so
police
that should
department.
come out of.
Yeah, well,
it.
that's what I was thinking.
It can't
Shouldn't
come
that
out, that's on the project side.
Right.
Turner pays for that on the project side, so they're paying for the electricity, the temporary service at the police department. However, the service for the temporary police department per the lease is paid for by
Mhm.
us. So
Is it a higher rate than what we normally pay?
They're all electric.
Oh, so it's just gonna be a higher.
It's gonna be a higher usage.
Okay,
yeah.
because I'm like, that's a smaller building.
We're seeing a higher usage because they're
But-
all electric. So-
okay. Okay,
So that's the reason that, and then going forward, we're gonna need it when we put them back in the building, hopefully, by the end of next year, we'll put them back in the building. So
Aren't those costs embedded in the project itself?
the project cost for the rental, the electric, no, we did not have that. We
We should have.
well,
Maybe.
the other thought was that do you want a bond for that long for electric costs where we already had it in the budget? So
Yeah, okay,
that's
that's
the
fair.
thought.
That's fair.
That's why we utilized the account.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
thank you. All right. Any other?
Oh, well, Tiger was here under highway. I had, if you go
Go
to
sit down somewhere.
page 13,
Tiger,
I know we talked about this, but this just seems also like a huge number. That 285% increase. Page 13 all the way at the bottom on CHP.
Where are we? I'm sorry, where are we?
13?
Page 13.
the CHP line, 285%.
So. I don't know if Tiger wants to.
Tiger.
But
You left too soon.
so there was a drop in
Maybe we should-
electricity as an
Okay.
offset to some of the CHP increases.
Okay.
I think CHP right now is still probably it.
That's correct.
To see how it shakes out. There was a 7.6 thousand decrease, and what was CHP? CHP was about 18,000. Yeah, I think as it's coming online.
As it's coming online, right, we're still trying to get a year's worth of data to understand exactly where we were, but based upon the numbers that we're getting, the invoices we're getting, this is the number that we're seeing is going to be trending towards, but then the unit then does give us a drop in electricity since it takes care of, that portion and a portion of our heating costs as well. So, but we're still dialing in on a full year's worth of true data.
That seems pretty conservative, doesn't it? Can we?
It's, well, if you
Yeah.
look back year prior, that's where we're going for, not from the 6,700, we were looking from the year prior.
Yeah,
Um,
I think we need to, can we sharpen our pencil on that a little bit more, Tiger?
I'll look at it further, but
Yeah.
that's the.
Because that doesn't show me a benefit from this program. And I'd like to see a benefit from that.
Okay, well, we'll dial that in for you.
Yeah, a little more.
Well, I guess what you're saying, Tiger, is you'll see it next year. You can see it this year. Is that?
Well, but we should see it this year if it's operating.
Well, at present, the unit is down, but yeah,
But when should, I mean, this is for next year's budget.
that's correct.
So it should be, I'm assuming it's going to be operational for next year's budget.
We're hoping it's operational within next week.
That's what I mean.
So, yeah. But no, we were looking, the 25 was looking back at the actual spends of 22 and 23, not necessarily the actual spends.
So, you know what, let's do it this way. I have to make a note to the Board of Finance. Why don't we, maybe we don't deal with it right here, but you'll have a little bit more data and you can kind of
See
if that can be brought down a little bit.
Yes, we'll try to dial that in for you.
Anyway.
I think that number stands out so much because last year we really didn't know what to budget for it.
Right.
Which is why it was down at 6,000.
Mhm.
Shop, I guess it was transitioning. That's why it looks like 285%. So.
At some point, and this is not like in the budget cycle, I think it'd be really great to do a summary of all of the proactive things we've done with energy in the town to show how, we've, operated more efficiently and saved the taxpayer money. I mean, just, it's kind of amazing, all the stuff we've done from the lighting to the CPUs. So I just, like if we had done nothing, of course, that's like throwing a project on someone, but I just think it would be interesting to show people that we have been proactive and try to do this and take an attaboy instead of us. Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go far. All right. Any other operating budget comments?
Small, these
Okay.
are small, okay?
Okay.
And I just wonder if they're necessary. So, and Russ, I'm not picking on you, but uniforms and equipment was, whatever, the line item on that one was for, it's 12. Of course, I can't see it, 4,000, 5,000. Do we, I know that some of it is to provide cert with some vests and stuff like that. I'd like to see if we really do need those or if I mean, I know their stuff's in Irwin now. Is there enough there? So just like, if we don't necessarily need them, let's not get them. So, because I think that's what you said it was for cert.
Right, part of it is cert, part of it is just vests and personal protective equipment, and also road signs for them when they block roads, lights, things like that to ensure their safety.
But is this that they've asked for this, or
Yes.
you're just assuming they don't? If we can see what a tighter inventory, and just again, tough year, a lot of things we have to look at. If we don't need, I know they have like a whole bunch of stuff in storage, and I don't know what their inventory is, right? But I think if we don't necessarily have to add, let's not, because then we have to store it as well. So.
Well, it was a doubling from 23 to 24, from 2,000 to 4,000.
One other clarifying on that, they also use those funds this year for recruitment purposes. They created a lot of materials for their class that is going as of January 24th, which as a result of those marketing materials, they had a very successful turnout. I think they have 12 to 16 new people who are volunteers providing free service to the town. So there is a return on that investment.
I'm sorry, marketing, like actual physical brochures?
Yes, brochures and paper and things like that.
I don't know.
And just on I just will say on the deputy position, just be cognizant of the fact that it is a 24-hour day, 7-day role. So someone needs to be in the seat. So consider that in the decision-making, because whoever that individual might be, they're on call, for example.
Right. But we also did do emergency management with volunteers previously, and there is the entire greater network of our health and safety guys. And along this line, and how many people do we supply town cars to? And are they just emergency people, and are they functionally on 24/7? If you have a town car, I mean, how do we, because, cars add up, right? Cars add up, and, the fueling, the insurance and all that stuff. Do we know how many folks in our complement of professionals?
We have about 15 to 18 people who take them.
15 to 18 people would take them. And is everybody there considered emergency? I mean, that's a big number. Okay. And
well, we have a few, I guess it's better to look at how many outside of emergency services are getting cars? I think that's probably a better way to look at it.
Has that increased over time? Like who gets cars?
I can't speak to who before. I know my term was probably just one car was added as a take home. It's gonna be who, you'd have to look at each position to say, are they actually classified as an emergency worker? Would they be required to show up? So that's kind of like, obviously you have your fire, police, DPW. There's some DPW guys. I'd have to look into some of the other positions to see if they are actually classified as emergency management under the IRS rules.
I mean, your reaction, Amy, is that there was a lot to me, like to service the entire town. If you look at all the different departments that have 15 to 18, doesn't seem like a lot. If we really something big happened where you want everybody back, it's.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just thought it's, again, the stuff you should just look at.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
versus it just.
on the list for Board of Finance.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's actually a good analysis for them to do too.
It's, well.
I had one on under animal control. I know we've got a new animal control officer, but there's $6,000 of new in there. That and I don't know. This is on page 12. There's $3,500 in there for professional services and $2,500 in there for posters. So $6,000 of sort of a new look. Is that
that's the dog fund that we're closing down?
All right.
So the expenditures that won't. Yeah, there's an offsetting revenue against that.
Okay.
So it does net to zero, basically, with a little bit of savings in it. There's more revenue coming in than the expenditures going out, and it's all related to
the dog fund.
June and June when they do all the licensing. But it's a net effect to the budget, close to zero.
Good.
All right.
Anything else on operating?
Anything else on operating?
And it doesn't mean that we can't continue to add to that list for the
Right, because I'll be transmitting a letter to them from us, and you know, I have right now 5 items for them to look at, and if we
I'm sure we haven't forgotten a couple.
Yeah, well, we got to do it quick. I have to send it tomorrow.
Okay.
So should we move on to capital? Sure. All right, let's move on to capital.
Can I ask an enterprise fund question, like a movie theater fund? Is that the right time to ask this? But I was just looking at the revenues versus expenditures. We had the expenditures were kind of high, and I thought we had triple net lease for the movie theater. So I don't know if there's offsetting revenue somewhere on that.
The expenses, because we're drawing down the fund balance for the Playhouse. We're drawing down the fund balance. Part of the fund balance is going towards the renovation.
Yeah, and this was actually I'll find it. Hold on. I hope I'll find it. There's Anyways, I just noticed that, the revenue we had coming in was just equal to the lease payment, but there was a lot of other expenses associated with it, like electricity stuff. And I thought we were a triple net lease with these guys, meaning they picked up all the expenses. So
I'd have to look at the contract. I don't know offhand.
I'm pretty sure on that one. Yeah. Okay. Because I'll come back on that one.
Okay. All right. So let's go through any other capital items that we want to.
Just a clarification that we had a discussion on the radios, and Russ is here, so it would be good to get some clarification on how many of the tri-bands that we're talking about, because those are we talked about how they're $10,000 a piece. So can you just overall, I think there was some confusion. You needed 2, I think, and 3. Yeah. And then there was some sharing of equipment with
that is in this current year, because Albie needs as in his budget. And we were attempting to get 3 this year with emergency management so that we have a total. Well, I'm actually going to be giving up 2 of mine for Albie to help him with shortfall. So I'll end up with a total with the one that I'm buying this year and then the 3 in the current budget request. And that, I think, really, I think I'm going to end up taking them out of the continuing years lines, so that at least we have 4 that I can give at events or pre-planned events or emergencies to our management teams, be it communications in an emergency, especially between the emergency operations center and whatever the incident is the hardest thing to do and the most important thing to do. And so we want to have these so that I can at least hand one to Dr. Litzy, hand one to the health director, hand one to, because they don't have those, so that we can have communications between the operations center and those in the field.
Is the goal to have everybody eventually?
Now,
Because
it's the key players. The tri-bands in particular, the all bands in particular, are for your key management staff. So they have the ability to use all the different interoperability frequencies. So if I end up with a cache of 4, and that's a total, so that's the 3 of this budget year, I'd be comfortable with that. The remaining out years where I was buying 3-year was if we move to the state system, and I'm not sure we're there yet. Our system is relatively stable and people aren't cutting our fiber lines. And we're waiting, as I said previously, to hear from Wilton in particular, if they actually save money by moving to the state system after their initial capital investment or not. It is too early to tell. If we do, we're going to have to buy new equipment. And my thought process there was we could start to get a lead into it to take bites out of it. Just being fiscally responsible, knowing that it's a very large capital ask to switch to that system.
Right.
But any case, these 3, I'm comfortable with being the last for now until we have more information, so that I have these that I can give to the key department heads, decision makers, not necessarily police, fire, and EMS. It's going to be other roles that are going to be playing that we can communicate directly, because cell coverage, as we know, can be difficult depending on where it is in town. And also cellular infrastructure can be overrun when there's an emergency and everyone is on the phone.
So right now, we just rely on the cell coverage.
Well, if, for example, I need to talk to Dr. Litzy, yes, that's the only way I have to get in touch with him. If we had an incident at a school, for example, or if his team, should they be on site. But just using that as an example, if it was Nano or someone else at St. Luke's or another facility or any other number of incidents, you want to have a couple, you can hand it to the key players. We already pay through the UASI our share of the regional radio system, that network. And even things like the 4th of July, that's going to be handed to people who are playing key roles, whether it's Tom Badler running the events, whether it's CERT, whoever, so that we all have one separate frequency for the management team, yourself included, to be able to communicate with each other.
So in terms of handing those out, they would be handed out before an event. In a real crisis, an emergency, somebody's in the wrong spot, you're not going to be given, you might give it to them later, but they're not going to have it.
We're going to send it to them in a vehicle. That's where we're going to grab someone and say, take the car and go and give it to the person on the site. While I'm going to the emergency operations center, getting it plugged in, turned on, up and running, making contact with everybody else that we're going to need to work with.
Yeah.
All right.
I found the movie theater fund question. It was on page 36. I'm just trying to understand how this works. So for the current fiscal year, we're expecting to rent the property for a full year at $125,000. And then there are all these additional costs against that. They look like they're town costs. I thought their rental was triple net lease, that they pay electricity, fuel, water, sewer.
I'll pull the conference.
Yeah.
I mean, memos and take a look at it.
Yeah, I mean, this is an organization that has basically sent, it's going to have 100% use of a town building, just got memberships at $3,500 a pop. I don't see why we should be paying for operating the building.
That we have to get our feet under, I think, before we.
Yeah.
No, but I did think that the lease payment was triple net. So let's just double check that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be.
Okay, so I'll add that as a question on the operating side. Okay. All right, so back to capital.
Okay,
So do we want to go into, there was some discussion about the fire
Deanna will take the start. I'm so sorry.
133. Well, I'm on 133. Yeah.
Thank you.
So for the radios, we're keeping them as is or changing anything in 5-year outlook or?
It didn't sound like we were making a change.
I mean, he's making a good case for it, so
Yeah.
that's, you know.
Yeah.
It's looking at the sticker shock of $10,000 per radio is really what we're struggling with, but you know, given the fact that if it's just a through, it's you know, so.
And I'm comfortable with removing the out years.
Yeah.
Pending further information from Will, you know, and our peers to see if they're saving money or not, even moving this system. If they're not, we're not moving and we're not going to be buying more radios.
Yeah. Do we have I have down a note, and I may have just miswritten something in my notes, but I have under fire the water supply improvement.
90, yeah.
It's like dry hydrants.
No, down below one.
Water supply improvement was 10, got removed.
Okay. Okay. So it did get removed.
Okay, in the
Perfect.
staff vehicle, 90,000 comes out, right?
Yep.
Where do we end up with the maze, the search maze?
I think we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I went last week and they did kind of a SCBA maze, which was really, I think, great training. It was the volunteers. I don't know. Do we just always rent? I don't know. Can we bring that kind of stuff in instead of owning it ourselves?
About the manpower,
Yeah.
power and storing.
Yeah, I
and
don't know
all
what the
that stuff.
cost. I don't know what Albie spent to bring that maze in. I have no idea. Yeah. Because maybe it's just a better, you know, lease versus buy decision. You know,
Well, we had a
just
lot of
renting
questions
it.
on that particular item, and we
Yeah.
talked about it for a while, about the height of it and about
Yeah.
setting it up and about knocking it down and, you know.
Yeah.
It just seemed like there were so many questions about the usefulness of it, and again, where we're going to store it. So
Yeah.
we want everybody to have proper training, obviously, but when this seemed like it was there's just so many questions involved in this particular choice.
Well, we can in the letter over to the Board of Finance,
Take
we
a
can
look at it,
highlight
yeah.
these are capital things we have questions on. You might want to. So, and again, then the folks get to make their case again.
So I'm taking
So-
tri-bands off and just adding in the maze, search maze.
Yeah, so and you know, maybe that's how we approach all the capital with these
Mhm.
guys.
Okay, so we'll leave that in for right now. And he thought, actually, though, you know, the one thing that we should remember is I know Albie said that he might be able to apply for a regional grant to pay for that. So, but with those grants, you always have to show, I think, Greg can correct me if I'm wrong. Usually you have to show that there's funding in place and then we, you know, or there's some.
You said it was 3,000 for 4 days and 4 nights.
Okay.
Can you share it? Can you share it? Yeah, I thought they shared the cost. Darian.
Oh, the cost, we didn't pay the whole cost? Did you say?
I feel like that was our portion.
Okay.
I think it was when he was here, you asked him that question. I think he had shared it and that was our portion.
Right. So I mean, if you buy them for 20,000 and can find a place to store them and you use them multiple years,
yeah,
you're probably headed. But
yeah,
we'll punt on that one.
yeah. Okay. What else?
Public Works.
Okay, Public Works, which department?
Well,
Which area? I mean,
well, they're definitely. I mean, I know the HVAC system for Waveney has been a perpetual question of when that gets funded, and I mean, so I'm sure the Board of Finance will look at that as well.
Yeah,
it's it's a complicated building. It's an old building. We've been trying to figure out what to do. So it's a big enough item that I know people will focus on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we need to write that one down.
Yeah,
it's kind of done. Yeah.
But one of the things that I had highlighted was the town hall annex building. And it seems, I mean, I know it was the teen center and we just, we looked through, renovating that. So we have an HVAC system and a roof in the same year there.
Yeah, how far down?
He's on an individual.
Well, yeah, so I just.
Be at the top of town buildings.
Yeah.
I like the detail in the back.
The descriptions.
The descriptions is just easier to explain. But anyway, it's the HVAC system and the roof.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you they had no heat last week. So we did have an issue. I know for sure. everybody was bundling up last week, so I'm not sure how long. I mean, we can limp along with that one. And I'm seeing Bill shake his head like, no, we can't limp along with that one. I do want people to be, you know.
Is it the original HVAC?
Yeah, original roof, to go back to window to roof. See what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Was it 20 years?
Yeah.
2002.
Yeah.
The HVAC, the problem with HVAC is that the boiler needs to be replaced. But then to do the air conditioning, I have to get the boiler back out because of air conditioning, which is also running on there right now. So the problem was just do the whole HVAC system whole.
And we do rent that building out in the evenings to we have a tenant, so we get lease revenue. So I mean,
not a heck of a lot. So there may be a better tenant arrangement going forward. I would just throw that out.
Okay.
We don't make much. Was it 3 and not much?
Okay.
Yeah. So just if anyone kind of is talking about we need town space and stuff like that, we keep that in the back of our mind. Would it be better used if in fact we do need town space?
Okay.
Just a thought.
Okay. Okay. Well, given all the leaky roofs we've had in recently.
Well, I mean, I'm not advocating for not doing it. I'm just saying that could we do one year month?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are we having any leak issues at? Okay.
Right, the roof is coming off.
I thought roofs last more than 20 years. You know, it's probably
Depends on if you paid up for a 30-year roof or not when you bought it.
Are heat pumps an option for any town buildings? Have we thought about that? Because I know everyone's pushing towards heat pumps, right? So, and I don't know if they work in more commercial setting.
It depends. It really depends. I'm not a huge fan of them.
Yeah, they don't do well there. Yeah.
It's good for a backup system, in my opinion. There are some new heating systems out there that are electric that are coming a long way, but that's not negative about being engineering.
Yeah, I would just keep them back of our minds as things.
We're looking at it.
Yeah.
There's no miracle there yet.
Okay. Any other town capital items we want to look at?
Well, I mean, I know we've talked about waiving house for a while, and we've kind of broken that up into different pieces, but you know, we've got 200,000 in for basement equipment. We've got another 300,000 in there for waste and domestic water piping. So there's, you know,
that's a lot
just for that one item.
4.5 million. Yeah.
So I mean, I know that's we've known for a long time that that's
it's a mess right over there right now.
Well, I mean, the original number was 13 or 14 million dollars, so it's not like these numbers make sense, but we just need to be cognizant as we go through this and continue to spend that we're not exceeding what we had hoped that we'd be saving over time. But we have to continue to work with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues over there that we need to correct.
Yeah, I would say if we're still in public buildings or town buildings, the nature center expenditures, I kind of struggle with that. I struggle with the Audubon House, and I struggle with the 150 to address the walkway. If in fact the nature center is going to do a major plan with the greenhouse at some point, I would take those out.
I had circled that 120 for the ramp because we had talked about that, and also the 300 for the Audubon House, because that, you know, maybe we talked to the Board of Finance about that, but
yeah, because
we talked at length about that ramp. Like, why are we putting money into this building prior to knowing, you know, what we're actually going to do?
Yeah,
and that doesn't make any sense.
And the Audubon House, you know, was 200, now it's 350.
Well, and determining whether or not we really actually want to keep that too.
Yeah.
It's still a 200 square foot building.
Preschool.
Yeah.
It's tiny. It's falling down.
Right?
Bill made a good case about the program that can be had in there, but it's still, you need to consider how there's a very small percentage of usage for that kind of money.
Like, it's a choose program to kids that are maybe 2 hours a day, maybe 5 days a week, maybe, I don't know how many months a year. I mean, so how many people is it really serving? Now, I mean, there could be an argument that if they kick off some revenue from that program, that part of that revenue goes to us to offset a debt expense associated with it. But I don't think the town should fix the building and just have the full expense of it without some offsetting revenues.
So can we, because I'm in agreement on the stairs. I think it's silly to, I think we mark it off, nobody can go there. And then when they figure out what they're doing with that, with the greenhouse, then we do it all at once. But I might want to move and I don't have a problem taking that one. Is the 120 Tiger just the stairs? I mean, if we took all of that out, that's just the stairs and we could mark it off until they get a plan. Or is that built?
It's actually, it's a ramp from the second floor. It's
Right.
kind of big.
Goes across, right?
Yeah, we'd have to remove all that, and then I'd have to get an architect to design a set of stairs cases to put up on the second floor.
Okay. And we don't want to do that. I mean, I think what I'm hearing from this board is we don't want to do that because they have a plan to redo that greenhouse, and we would want that to happen at the same time. So we know we have an issue with, I think we just need to block that off so no one can get onto that ramp way.
Brought to our attention, that's what the problem with it after we investigated, it should be out of service. We just followed up that it was brought to our attention, we looked at it, we priced it out, we put it in.
Okay.
We have a discussion.
Okay.
It.
So we're okay from a liability standpoint if we block it off. I mean, can we do that? Can we just block it off until we get a plan to redo the greenhouse?
Talk to fire marshal to get his direction on the way to block that off. And it's a means of egress for the second floor.
But the second floor is not being used.
Yeah.
Because it's not ADA compliant.
Well, so it doesn't have to be compliant in the sense that it's there after work. In theory, yeah, a means of egress is supposed to work.
So should we make this a note, because it sounds like we have to do a little investigation of what we need to do from a liability standpoint as a town on that. Make it a note to the Board of Finance to look at that. And if we could get more information before we go to the Board of Finance.
Yeah. Talk to fire marshal, get the.
Yeah, let's make sure we're not putting ourselves, so it'll be a specific notation to look at that. Also, so that's a note.
Yeah, I mean, I was under the impression that when Bill presented, they were literally shutting the greenhouse down because it was leaking and there was, they were moving stuff out of there and not using it at all. But
I know I've talked to members of the board, and there is, they got to do something with the greenhouse one way, shape, or form. And it just seemed to me from the nature center that if I was prioritizing what to deal with, I would deal with the greenhouse before I dealt with the laundry building.
That's a great point, because that's so much more usable space at the greenhouse. And
yeah, I mean, the way it is now, it doesn't work. It's like they got to do a lot of work there. But from a town perspective, I would feel more comfortable helping support whatever redo you have at that building, because it would have so many functions for so many people. So if they're looking for town to help out on the building, because we are responsible for all the buildings.
Yeah, and we were all very supportive of the greenhouse, but it seemed like the smaller building was kind of nice to have rather than need to have.
Well, and just because we inherited these buildings when we bought the parks doesn't mean they always have a use for the town. That's kind of my
Your chance for one less building for you.
Well, again.
All right, so I'm sending both of these on with a notation to the Board of Finance to make a decision on these two with a specific note, or am I?
From my perspective, I would say, assuming there isn't any liability issue, I would say take both of these out and let the nature center come back to us when they have a more grand plan about how we support them.
Okay, I'm not comfortable taking out the ramp until we find out we don't have a liability.
Okay. Yes.
So I would make a specific note, and we'll communicate that to the Board of Finance that they need to. Bill, you have homework. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And then, so are we taking out the Audubon house then?
They can put it back in. Again, everybody, that if the nature center feels really strongly about it, they can come and make the case to the Board of Finance why they should do it. I mean, to me, that would reflect commitment.
Sorry, you mean take it out and give us money to take it down?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
So how much do you think we need to take it down?
It's really, or we just let nature, can we just let nature take it down and let it sit there?
Have a list of things to check for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's like unsafe. I mean, like a kid could.
Well, right now it is. Yeah. I mean,
like
you don't want anybody going in there right now.
No, but if I was a kid.
We could have fire use it as a training.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, and all the kids could
that. Fire to take it down. Training facility.
That's good.
So you have two calls, Albie and then the rest of the expense.
With the compromise, that's unsafe for us.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Let's look at environmental before we burn anything down.
Okay, so
So we can kick it to the Board of Finance.
yeah, I honestly,
With the-
because we have,
with
let's,
I think it's really kicking. I think we're expressing where we are, and please look at it.
Yes.
okay, so
Yes.
we'll leave it in,
Wrong.
but with a note to look at, taking it down and costs for demo.
And from our perspective, taking it down is the massive percent.
Pretty much.
Okay, all right. All right,
Irwin Park, Irwin Main House. So I actually went over to and looked at Irwin and went in
Okay.
it, which was kind of cool. And it's being used
yeah, two
a lot.
organizations.
It has a lot more space that probably could be used with, but when you buy a house, it's kind of a dump and you're a kid and you put all the money in and you have the time. I mean, with kind of a facelift, I think you could use more of the space. So certainly the outside needs painting and stuff like that. So the 150 for this year, because it's for painting and all that stuff, just kind of pull it back. And what's the gentleman works? Is it Butch who works with us now, Carpenter? And to the extent we can do this in house, the number, just out year number of $700,000, I really struggle with. Like,
Oh, next year.
yeah, because again, what are we using it for? If we're using it for just basic, this is good town, basic space for people like CERT and because we do have to like heat it and there are expenses of keeping it up, right? So if the 150, we can kind of stabilize it and make it a usable building for the foreseeable future. Cool. I would struggle to put $700,000 in it next year without some grand plan of why we're doing it.
It's the roof.
Well, it's a slate roof.
We never put any money in there from the water. So.
Well, and that's a mistake. Okay, so that's a mistake. So if we can do the maintenance we need to do to keep the structure, we should do that. But I mean, that's a big roof. Are you taking off the whole slate roof? Are we sure we need to do that?
Spent a lot of money the past year and a half, about 20,000 here, 20,000 there for chasing the leaks all on it. I had the roofer go out and look at it, and
but doesn't a slate roof last 100 years? Not 50?
Yeah.
If it's been maintained.
It depends. It's all
Anyways.
the valleys and all the copper that's in there that's came from our local environment. And that's where our roots are developing. And the rubber, there's a big rubber roof on the top too that's starting to dry out.
Okay.
So,
And anyways, I would be very, I can see tidying it up, keeping it tight, but
Yeah.
before putting $700,000 in it, we should think from a town building perspective, does it make sense to put,
Another note.
that much money and
Note
on a
to
go
Board of
forward
Finance.
basis? That's my
It
thought.
doesn't impact this year, so that's good. Okay. All right. Anything, what else?
That's on buildings.
So this, and you removed the 45 in the field equipment?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
And I mean, with the Waveney House weddings and events, items we're adding here, we're putting the stake in the ground saying we are going to be a wedding venue. Which I think is good, but we still need some more work. So
Yeah.
I'm less
Especially-
excited about that, but
we have, we're talking about buying chairs, we're talking about buying flatware. So
And we have water incursion that we can't really rent a building that has water coming into it. So we need to fix some things in there.
So we're saying that we have enough weddings in 2025 to support the purchase of all this stuff.
Well, we haven't booked out yet, so we don't know yet, obviously.
I guess there's two things. Like the chairs are really old, right?
Yeah.
And the chairs,
You've got visuals. The old chair and the new chair, and you can't see it in front of the podium.
okay.
Oh,
But I mean, we do use the chairs for town events as well, right?
Yeah.
And these are old. I mean, they've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
So I think you can probably make the chair argument whether you go with the weddings or not, right?
Sure.
It's like this stuff does get old. So.
And we'll eventually need the flatware. So I guess that's
Yeah.
All right.
Are we still on these speeches?
Yeah.
Can I public sidewalks, $750 for sidewalks, right? Those are, Tiger, those remind me, new, repair.
So the majority of it is reinstallations, all the sidewalk behind the block. The possible extension going up on that road. And then support from the downtown area.
Yeah. I'm just saying it's a big number.
It is.
It's a big number. So I'm not saying cut it. I would say, you know, again, in your flag, take a look at sidewalks, right?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, it's, when we look at we talked about this, but recent surveys over the years, including PSCD, importance of town, Board of Ed, number 1, number 2, roads and sidewalks. So it's 750 is not a lot. Sidewalks. It always gets a lot of support. It's amazing how many people use sidewalks and see people walking more and more every
Yeah, it's just a big number. It's not the 4 or 5, it's 750. Just you know, again. So
gotta take care of it.
All
right.
For the Lakeview Avenue culvert, man, I hope that comes in cheaper with some money from somebody. That's $2.2 million. Ouch.
Unfortunately, it's not a pretty bridge, so there's no grant money. If it was a bridge, you might get some money.
Yeah, it's not what Tiger did you say? It's not a label
Tiger, I listened
or
to you.
something like that.
I do listen to you.
So okay.
All right. Okay.
The other question on parking lots, I know we've got 300,000 then tagged for up at the Benko pool, and it seems like that parking lot, and I'm getting old because it seems like that parking lot's pretty new, but
Getting old.
yeah. So $300,000, what are you just going to repave it all, or
Take it all out and then redo curbing all the way around.
okay?
Probably go to the more of a granite curb around, so we won't have a curb in the shop. That's the
Those granite curbs are so tough on the tires.
Yeah, but when you have the asphalt ones, they just get ripped up.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying. I've blown out a lot of tires. It's my fault.
So that parking lot's 20 years old.
Wow, you are getting old.
Yeah, maybe that's all right.
Do we have any trees in the middle of that? Like,
Yes.
in the medians? Is it? I have to go look. So like if you're parking, there's like strips with trees.
There's shaded areas to park.
Beautiful.
There's already grass strips throughout, so it's a well planned parking lot. Well,
And the trees are getting more than 3 inches.
the trees more than 3 inches there.
Good.
Okay.
Great.
Any other town capital?
Continue that. Hold on. What's the athletic foundation?
That's well, the main page is 179. That explains the project, but
Where's that come in terms of the capital?
that was under
On what?
Parks infrastructure.
parks infrastructure.
Where the heck is
136.
Thank you.
what page?
136. Oh,
Yeah.
Public Works.
Oh, right. So these are big numbers, guys. These are big numbers. And this is just my opinion on this. Like hopefully the improvements that from safety and everything that Tiger's talking about that the town needs to do, not Tiger, I mean Tiger, but just fixing the roundabout. I mean, I'm hoping that number is not in the $2 million range to do that improvement going forward. But the one comment I wanted to share with the Athletic Foundation and my views, and they do great stuff. It's terrific. And it's great that we have kids doing all these sports. But I think in terms of what type of match we might do as a town, it seems like if there's a commitment that we feel we need to the varsity team or the high school teams play on campus, which I'm completely, at the Copper Field. It seems that the town expense to that, in my view, should be what would be expense associated with getting a nice, solid varsity baseball field with some bleachers, right? not necessarily all the bells and whistles. And then I would question whether you need to turf the entire outfield, since in baseball you have 3 people out there at any one point in time. And I think it's great. And if the Athletic Foundation wants to supplement and make that better, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend the town say I'm a 50% match or whatever its value engineered down to. I'd be curious what it costs to build a good baseball stadium, understanding the drainage, and then if we can minimize the turf, if that with the drainage is better, the outfield's better. That would be my thought on that. And many of our teams travel, or travel to sports. Hockey travels, crew, all those guys travel. And then when we think what we have it for tennis, we expanded the tennis and added the additional, but there's no tennis stadium, right? There's no tennis, and there's no track stadium. And Dunning, I think, is a little bit different because it's used for absolutely everything. Lacrosse, soccer, go down the list, graduation. So I just, in terms of, I would say, I think that the town might want to consider how much we would feel is an appropriate amount to spend to get our baseball team on campus. And then if the Athletic Foundation wants to beef it up, that's great. But we do have to make sure, to the extent we beef it up, we figure out how it's going to be paid for 20 years from now. So that's just my thought on that. And when I was sitting in the Board of Finance, the thought was like, we want to partner with that foundation. It's great, but it's not necessarily a 50% split. You just don't come up with a number and we say 50%. So I don't know what it costs to do a nice baseball diamond with, bleachers like we've had for lacrosse always over at the field by Waveney. So,
yeah, I mean, I think I agree with that in terms of the way the town, the varsity baseball used to play on Farm Road. It used to be, there's a backstop on Farm Road. They used to hit toward the track. That was the varsity baseball field when the high school opened and played there for forever. Then that was converted to soccer, and they moved the varsity to Mead Park, and they played at Mead Park since then. But getting it back on campus has obviously been the goal for a couple decades now. And I agree. I mean, I think that the town should be paying for the surveys, the drainage, the setting the field up the way it should be, including bleachers and the whole thing. And then the athletic part of it is to bring that up another level. If they decide they're going to turf it, if they decide they're going to do any other kind of improvements there, then it's on them. But we really do need, as a town, to get our varsity baseball team back on campus again. I support this 100%. So,
well, I support it at a limited,
yeah,
well, you don't
want the Taj Mahal.
like the tennis team.
Yeah.
Here are your courts.
Yeah.
We don't have a tennis stadium, but here are your courts. Yeah. But the kids who play hockey travel, like the swim team doesn't have a pool. I mean, we've
tried to build pools and rinks, but we just haven't been able to do it.
They're expensive. So, baseball's a cool sport. And actually, I know you have to travel to it, but what a cool location the baseball is. You got the apple cart and all that stuff. But I mean, I can understand getting on campus, but I don't think that it's a blanket check that whatever they come up with, it's 150. I think we pay as a town the portion to get the field with the drainage with decent bleachers.
So I guess that's another note I'll forward to the Board of Finance. Yeah. Just take a look at the Athletic Foundation.
Yeah, I mean, the other side too is that the amount of money that the Athletic Foundation has collected for this particular program, and they've been collecting it for a while, and the money is there and ready to go. So.
Right, and I have to say, having had a track athlete. Mm-hmm. You really don't use a track for anything else but track and field, but they put in those nice my child didn't benefit from it, but for me, I am so happy to see that they reoriented the track and they put in nice bleachers for a sport that impacts a lot of athletes, but is only used for track and field. So I hesitate.
Town people use track a lot,
right? Which
I don't think you would use.
But you don't need bleachers for people to walk on it. So, and I'm guessing you'll have town people go out and plan, unless they'll ban people from playing on couple field, but since it's a town asset, I know there's a lot of kids on the weekends that go out to the parks and play, you know, they play soccer, they play baseball.
Is 3 seasons.
Yeah.
It's early spring and spring, it's summer and it's fall. So
Right.
the only time it's not going to be used is the winter. So it'll be used.
But you know, baseball uses a really big amount of real estate vis-a-vis other sports per kid, per player. It just does, right? So look, baseball is a great sport, but you know, do you have to turf it for 3 people hanging out on the turf? I mean, I honestly, you know.
Well, I'm guessing it probably impacts whether you can play or not if it's wet. Like I understand your logic, but I don't.
But I think if you fix the drainage, you have issues with that. And we got to fix the drainage. That's fine.
Right.
But again, and then also you just got to think about improvements that are paid for with private dollars. 10 years, 15 years. What's the obligation to the town?
Yeah.
You know, even like the Athletic Foundations has helped raise money for the turf, okay, which is great. Okay, but the turf expense is going to be a big chunk beyond what is raised. And so I think you just got to be careful.
Well, that's where we can probably look at the player fee. You know, I mean, we take in, that's what that's for.
Oh, I know, but
a percentage of it. So.
But it only gets you so far. So
right,
it's going to be a liability to the town.
I agree.
You know, as we make stuff better, right? You got to keep it up. So,
and we've proven that athletics is such a huge part of who we are in this town. I mean, we take such pride in our programs and, you know, everything we do here surrounding the football teams and the lacrosse teams.
Yeah.
And it's part of who we are. You know, I really think that supporting the facilities like we do our programs is really important.
I'm supportive of it. I just think you have to define what
the
depth of it.
Yeah. So, all right. So it will be a notation in the letter that's not. You want both or just the baseball? Am I noting both or just the baseball?
I think both. I mean, you know, I mean, obviously Tiger's going to try to pull the numbers in tighter than the 2 million.
You have to sharpen your pencil, Tiger.
Well, yeah, and it may just be. Can you buy him a pencil sharpener?
I use a mechanical pencil, just so you know. All right. Okay. Anything else on town capital?
We have 350,000 in the New Canaan Nature Center pond dredging, and again, that's another one of those. Does that have to be done? I think we've talked about when a pond becomes a
wetland.
A wetland.
Yeah.
I mean, is it this year that we have to do that, Tiger?
We're at that point. Yeah. This has been coming for a while.
Right.
We're at that.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
So maybe better spend the money on that than the Avon house. Yeah. Okay. Everyone uses that.
Yeah, the number happens.
Okay.
Anything else?
Anything else on town? Before we move on to Board of Ed capital. Okay. Board of Ed capital.
So we don't comment on the operating budget for the Board of Ed, correct?
Well, we can comment on it.
I think we should comment on it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked to Brian about, you know, we did a quick calculation, the 3 of us, when we sat there and we said we added up the FTEs and sort of did some calculations and figured out that there was some three takeaways, 10 ads, and kind of came up with a 6+ number. And you know, it's a year where, you know, we want the kids to have the classroom attention they need, but adding additional support and additional jobs and positions is just not what we'd like to see.
Yeah.
And we're trying to do that across the board.
I think it should be classroom facing period. Yeah.
You know, truthfully, we're adding the SRO piece of this that everybody's supportive of across the board, but that's 3 FTEs right there.
Yeah, outside the budget.
Outside, you know, so it's a big year for that. So, you know, I would like the Board of Ed to really look inside and see what they can do to try to, you know, not add those FTEs if possible that aren't classroom based.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, as I think I pointed out when Brian was here, you know, if you look at the enrollment, the enrollment really hasn't.
It's pretty stable.
It's pretty stable. So, you know, we really have to be conscious of, you know, FTEs. per student. So, okay.
And again, we can't do it without it.
Yeah.
We're recommending, but I'd like the Board of Finance to have that conversation.
Okay, so I'll note, focus on FTEs.
And
the Board of
again, this may be in their budget book and maybe I didn't see it because we're not really talking about that very much. I think it would be good to have a multi-year look at staffing, just see
a
how
historical.
how it's changed.
Yeah.
How it's changed. And
How far back do you want to go? I think we can make a very specific comment on how far back we want to go. 5 years?
You pick.
I think 5 years is fair.
Yeah, I think it's just we should see it on that. So I think that's important.
All right, so 5-year look back on, and then, on staffing.
I do have one specific staffing question, and I know it's probably above my pay grade, but with the early learning academy, the what's it, the acronym?
Oh, are you talking about the reading
Yeah,
stuff?
which I'm super supportive
Right,
of.
it helps with outplacements.
No, I absolutely get it.
Yeah.
But the one thing I didn't realize,
Really
I didn't realize we were going to have 3 teachers plus an administrator of the program.
Right.
And I just wonder, is there any way to have somebody have part of that administrative function? It may not be, but I just think I was surprised because I knew we'd have one in each grammar school, which I think is great. But I just, again, in terms of overhead and costs, and I think that would be.
So it's 3 plus 1. So it's the Orton Gillingham.
Yeah, I thought it was 3 total. I didn't think it was going to be 4 when we first looked at it, and I could have missed it. So
okay. So
just a specific staffing question.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of those areas that would be nice to see them.
Yep.
It's
okay.
All right. All
right.
As far as capital,
Yeah, let's go into capital.
we identified the key.
Yep. In talking with Dr. Lutzy yesterday, I think he is comfortable deferring for a year, both intercom systems at the high school and at Saks.
Good.
So I think we can just take those out. So we can take those out.
Great.
We can take those out.
Which one is it? Sorry.
2 intercom, one at
Two
Saks,
intercom.
one-
Yeah, the 2 intercom systems, the 280 at Saks and the 350 at the high school.
That helps.
No, they'll sort of.
Yep, that's great.
And there was a innovation.
Yeah. So the innovation project, in talking with Dr. Lutzy yesterday, I asked for more specificity because the description was pretty confusing. And what that entails is engineering services and professional services related to redesign of all 3 elementary schools and Saks's media centers. I guess Dr. Lutzy said he went over to Ox Ridge recently and realized sort of our media centers have not changed since probably most of us had kids in the schools. And so they want to look at sort of the next generation media center. And so this $200,000 is for innovation projects.
$200,000.
Yeah. So Tiger, maybe you can, does that sound reasonable? Engineering services for like four libraries.
5, would it be 5 with the high school?
Not the high school.
Okay.
I don't think the high school's in there because
What's the overall number?
200.
That's 50,000.
each.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's cool. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Do we want to pass that on with a note to look at that or get more insight?
Yeah, I mean, it's the one thing you're going, not really sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
More detail. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Board of Finance digs down in this big time. So,
Well, the other question would be, would we do all 4 projects at once anyway?
but that's just the engineering.
I know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
By the time you engineer it, and 2 to 4 years goes by.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not, I don't know. I mean, that's a good point. Do you need to spend all 200 at once or can you?
I think you want to do the engineering all in one.
I think so, yeah.
Only because
Okay.
They want to have continuity.
Okay.
They want to see whether or not they might be able to trade between.
Okay.
Or the go. I think you should do the engineering all in one shot.
Okay.
Whether you phase in the project separately, that's a good discussion.
Okay.
Each
Okay.
unit of innovation.
Okay. Well, that's a good conversation to have more, insight into before you do anything.
I am sure they will look at the district-wide, the well, that's what we talked about, one of those, but the engineering services and HVA assessment, just in terms of how we got to these numbers, you know. I mean, there's a million square feet of space, so I know it's.
And I know when I was on the Board of Ed, you know, we did that silver petrocell, like we had somebody come in and it was like a big expense, you know, for a year to do the engineering work and make some, right. Although this isn't a plan, this is actually engineering work for specific projects.
Yeah, well, yeah, district-wide, maybe
It's
that's
still $310,000 engineering work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of buildings and a lot of square footage and they're old. So I don't know. I mean, this is.
And if you don't have, you know, sometimes if you don't keep people on staff, you're going to have to outsource this stuff. So I'm sure he'll describe that, but
yeah.
Okay. Well, we should be glad our schools are well maintained.
Yeah.
And that we put the money in judiciously every year.
Yeah. Yes. Westport has found out the hard way.
This is Brenda thing.
Yeah. Okay. Any other capital items for the district?
Yep.
Big ones.
Okay, so now Josh gets to do his magic.
That's it. Sure, there's also fee memos that should be approved before.
Okay. You know what?
You have them on your tablet.
You what?
They're on your tablet.
Oh, they're on our tablet. Okay, because I know, yes, because you gave it to me and I left it in my office.
Did you say fee? Did you say fee memos?
Yes.
Each of the departments prepares.
Okay. The town, and not like the pool, because we did suggest the pool consider upping their rates. That could be outside of that.
The pool fee memos are in there, whether or not they got raised.
Yeah, I mean, we were sitting there going, they haven't gone up in a while. We should go up with the pool fees, which we had discussed that. So fee memos. Okay.
And the process is then Pam will advertise them. They're required to be advertised.
So we do this before we vote on budget.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're doing this now?
Just look at you have to vote on them. Yeah.
All right. We're gonna name it. So. On price space. So this is.
5% increase.
Oh, so the parking commission brought forth these changes, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, this is the back side. You can.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I didn't realize exactly what this was.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this is
just each department's recommendation.
Yeah, very standard.
Well, the fees, the parking ticket fees will go up, but we see that we're having less tickets because people are paying online, which is good. Yeah, which is good.
Josh, if it helps you, we could start a little bit of the regular meeting. You could go.
I mean, that'd be great.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yes.
10 minutes or so would be really.
We've got a number of items. That's what I was thinking we would do. We would pause. You would do whatever you need to do. We'll go on to the meeting.
That would be very helpful. So
Then you'll.
Yeah, that's great. Perfect.
That's what I was going to suggest.
Okay.
I thought that was good, you guys.
All right.
Nothing like having the spotlight.
Yeah, I know. As you're working on a computer on a spreadsheet that like, oops, I overrode that formula, didn't I?
And we do want him to get it correct.
Okay. All right. So we'll move into the
yeah, so we can do the regular part of the meeting, and then
okay.
when he comes back, we can do the fee memos as part of
okay.
the overall.
Perfect.
No.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. So
one of
how does just on the budget side, we have money in the ARPA fund that we have not used.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been some discussion about taking that into the general fund. From a process standpoint, how do we do that?
Is it transfer in, transfer out?
I mean, as a board, do we have to approve that? Is that just now?
Yeah, you would
Yes,
have to,
yeah.
and the subcommittee groups would have to approve it as well.
The subcommittee groups.
There are the town council and board of finance each had liaisons as part of the ARPA process.
Okay.
So we would present that as a proposal.
Okay.
They would approve that as part of the subcommittee, and then you would come back and you all.
Okay, so we could do that before the budget cycle and.
Oh, yes.
So, okay.
I am so supportive of that.
The council would have.
Yeah.
to approve too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because that's all, that's
Right.
run through them.
Yeah. okay, so not for today,
Right.
but.
I was on that subcommittee from the Board of Finance.
Yes, you were.
So we'll have to find somebody, but I think that makes all the sense in the world.
Yep.
Well, Mark is.
Oh, Mark's gone too. Yeah, so, but look we could have used ARPA funds to reimburse ourselves for revenue losses. We chose not to. This is completely legitimate, and I think
We can start that process right away.
I think we should do it.
Yep.
It helps. That's 700,000.
Yeah.
That can help offset this difficult budget year.
Because it has to get before town council, because town council can't raise
Yeah.
the revenue budget. Right.
And we got time. Yeah.
Yeah, we just have to get to the 3. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's go back. Fireworks contract.
Oh, that's a good one.
I know, he just, there we go.
This is your.
We are ready, as Steve might describe it as a Norman Rockwell quintessential event.
Is there anything on our tablets for this?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
the,
It should
the
be
document
a
is on there.
one-page contract with international.
It says New Canaan 2024 contract right below fee memo. Yeah.
Okay, oh, okay,
We're
all right.
on our, what, our 43rd or 44th? Depends on how many you account for COVID contracts. So we're getting everything in place right now. We've got the fireworks contract here. All the other things we're working on, we get the bands lined up, we get the food trucks lined up, working on all that sort of thing. We get the date set, so we're ready to go. Any questions?
And this is the same company we've used.
Same time we've
Yeah.
used forever.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
contract.
Day one.
Same contract, just new dates.
It's the same contract. It's up a little
Same-
bit.
How much
Like
is it up?
Dates, with
I
3
think it was
dates.
33 last year, now it's 35 this year. But the show, the show is the important thing. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And we want to, we hear things each year. Well, we want more up in the sky, boom, 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 boom. No, we want more on the ground. It kind of fizzle and I want music during the fireworks. You hear everything.
One of those emails.
It's great every year.
Yeah, why isn't it on the 4th again? But we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
another
that
time.
one I
That's
might have
That's a
opinion.
huge logistical thing.
Yeah.
But it's scheduled for the 6th Saturday.
scheduled for the 6th.
Saturday
Rain
night, rain date 7th.
Rain date's the next day, which is very, very, very important, that it's on the weekend and it's back to back. With all the logistical stuff that you have, when you tell a guy that just went out and bought $4,000 worth of lobster, okay, it's Friday night, but the rain date's the next Friday night.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
You push it off, he's stuck with all the lobsters. It just, the way we're operating today, this is the model that works the best.
And the
John,
call,
anything to add?
the call is made weather-wise early because the fireworks have to get here.
We used to make it at 7 a.m. so that we could notify the fireworks company in Pennsylvania not to come across the bridges, don't come. Because then we'd have to store it here and find a safe place to store it.
With a fire watch.
We'd have to have a
that fireman on duty.
Wow.
24/7, we'd have to watch the fireworks. And so, yeah, but now we make the call like Thursday.
Yeah. If we watch the forecast, we can usually have a good idea which way to go. Hopefully.
So that lets everybody know, not Saturday morning at 7 a.m. or something like that. Let's let them know on Wednesday or Thursday based on the forecast. We're ready. Everybody's lined up. Everybody's excited. We get a couple little things we might be planning. It might be different and exciting. Right?
Stay quiet on it.
It's not set yet.
New ideas.
Still working on that. Yeah.
Great. All right. So could I get a motion to approve a request from the Recreation Department to enter into a contract with International Fireworks Manufacturing for the annual family fireworks event? Steve.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not going far.
We have a few appointments. Oh, no, I'm shoot.
Chair
Sorry.
quote.
Sorry, I'm on the wrong page. Okay, Waveney. Oh, yes, Waveney event chairs. Thank you. Yes.
But this is the one we're proposing here.
Really?
Compared to this one that's starting to fall apart and everything else.
How's it feel on your back, leaning on those?
Actually, pretty good. I was gonna switch your chairs out, but I decided your meeting was gonna be a little bit too long to sit in the old ones. But no, the one that we're proposing is used by
Everywhere.
everywhere. I got a whole list of places that use the exact same one.
Okay.
It's what presently when somebody's doing an event or holding an event, they usually rent chairs, and that's what they're bringing. Sometimes they bring white. We looked at white a little bit, but with our building being basically dark and everything, we chose to stay with the browns. And looking at other venues that use the same chair, the gold,
yeah, it's nice.
type hues look very well. So
They stack, John, right?
they do stack. There is one issue: you have to pull off the cushion, but that's Velcroed on.
Okay.
So it comes off easy, which helps us for cleaning if we need to do anything like that. So the cushions do go into a separate bag to be stored, but they do stack. They're fairly lightweight, but they're good quality. We don't feel that they're going to be breaking down or anything like that. They are our indoor chairs, so we would not, if somebody wants to set up down in the Rose Garden for their service, they do not use our chairs. They have to bring those in anyways. So
even currently?
Even currently.
Okay.
Our chairs stay inside the house or
okay. Okay.
So we won't change that.
How long have we had these other guys? Got a guess? Anybody got a guess? They've been here since you've been here?
Long time.
I ones there were similar ones, I think way over 15 years, but I think a lot longer than that. I decided I wasn't going to bring you the worst one that we had, so I just grabbed one off the stack. But you know, they're worn out. We will keep some of them for certain meetings. There's certain people that we think will still want to use the old chairs.
Okay.
So, but we're going to get rid of all the old ones that we definitely don't need.
Okay.
You mentioned Rose Garden, not on the terrace though, like old timers and stuff. They could still
terrace. We let our chairs be used, but not out in the grass. Yeah. It's just a matter of bringing the dirt back up onto the floors. Is the main thing.
Okay. All right. So could I get a motion to approve a request from Parks and Rec Department to purchase 200 banquet chairs from Avena F LLC in the amount of $13,272 plus a 15%. Why do we need a contingency?
Yeah, why do we need?
We shouldn't need a contingency, but we've always put it in there. I plan on just as soon as we have a purchase order. We're going
I was reading that, John, and I was like,
no. Agree with you.
Okay. All right. So can we just approve the 13,272? Is that going to be a problem?
I mean, if anything, if shipping goes up $1, I have to come back to approval. That's all.
Fine.
You know, so
can I give you 13,000
there?
Yeah, I'm not leaving 15% contingency.
I can almost guarantee you we won't use any of it.
Okay, so let's contingency.
We can reduce the contingency then.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is a fair? What's a 5% contingency?
How about $200?
I was gonna say 200. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Sold. Okay, so that would give you to 13,472, correct? Is that right? All right. All right. So let me redo this. Could I ask for a motion to approve a request from Parks and Recreation Department to purchase 200 banquet chairs from Avena F LLC in the amount of $13,272 plus a $200 contingency for a total cost of $13,472.
Second.
First. Yep. Oh, all right. So Amy, then Steve. And it's unanimous. Thank you. All right, you're still here. Approved club car carryout.
Okay. It's basic. It looks similar to a golf cart. It's a little bit more heavy duty because you can haul stuff in the bed. It will be used mainly for our different events throughout the parks. We looked at going with an electric one. Cost wise, it's about the same. Our problem with going with electric, the way we use it, is different than the way a golf cart is used. We would be putting more hours on it, and when we're using it for events, we didn't think it would make it through the day talking to the company. So that's why we'd like to go with the gasoline version of the golf cart. And this is another one where the contingency is at 15%.
Yeah.
And as long as we get the order placed in 2 weeks, I really don't think we need anything.
Okay.
But
are you okay with nothing, or do you need a?
Is it?
I'm okay with rolling the dice and saying I'll come back for a new approval if anything changes.
I love that attitude.
Well,
good team approach.
Delivery. It's delivered to you guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the $12,007.60 is fine. No additional. Okay, here we go. Could I get a motion to approve a request from Parks and Rec Department to purchase a new club car carryall 550 from Associates Golf Car Services, Inc. in the amount of $12,007.60.
So moved.
All right,
Sorry.
Amy,
Sorry.
Steve,
Yep.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Information technology.
I don't have any props. Sorry.
Everywhere is props. All around here is props.
I was gonna say that's true.
I don't have contingency either. I'm closer to the chairs than I really did. Yeah, this is just it's a formality. It's Microsoft's renewal of our email subscription.
Okay,
There you go.
That's just what it is.
all right. So, any questions?
Nope.
Okay, could I get a motion to approve a request from the Information Technology Department to enter into a contract with Presidio in the amount of $15,191.76 for Office 365 software?
So,
Steve.
Second.
Amy, it's unanimous. Thank you, Chris.
Have a good day.
Okay. Okay, Bill. Purchase order increase.
Yeah, so with the 39 Oaks Avenue, they touched base on it before about the electricity over there, that the electric, we did electric for 39 Oaks Avenue temporarily, like the police were there. And the electric meter, it doesn't make sense to put it in the town's main. There's a big cost with that. And traditionally, it's been ran through the FJ Holdings, which is the realty company, and also this is a pass through. They were invoicing us for the electric bill.
Why does it cost, sorry, stop. Why does it cost more to run it through us than?
Contract. They have a contract with Constellation. So if we try to pull up the contract, there's a penalty.
The building has contract. with
Yeah,
Constellation.
well, yeah, and we have a contract also that if I put that building on and pull it off, then it's another. It'll cost about $15,000.
Okay,
In penalties.
okay,
Since they're giving us a copy of the electric bill and it's just a pass through,
okay,
and their rate is only about a little less than a penny than ours starting in February.
okay.
Instead of creating all this problem with paperwork, we feel it's just, we
Okay.
just pay them. But I need your approval to do that, and we'll pull a purchase order, and then I'll be back probably in July to redo it again for the next fiscal year. So this will get us to, hopefully this will get us to.
Okay, yeah.
So it is an all electric building like we talked about, so I have no idea on history in it.
So this cost associated with moving the police station, which is,
Yeah.
we're just carrying this as an expense of the town, or is this
It's an operating expense
of the town?
for town. Yeah.
Okay,
No
so,
different than if they were still over there. I'm using their same line item from the police department that we had over there.
okay, so it's just switching electrical.
We're just switching.
Okay. All right.
Is it a significant increase in electricity from when the Board of Ed? I mean, because we were occupying that building, so we should have history on the electric bill.
Yeah, it's pretty standard. I don't think it would change a whole lot because
Yeah.
it's electric heat,
Okay.
which we'll see how that works out.
And we'll get a 24-hour day, police operate 24 hours.
Right, versus, yep, that's fair. Yep,
Yeah, yeah.
yep, that's fair.
That's fair.
Okay, okay.
and then this will come back into the town, right? You know, when we get this off books and back to the PD.
Yeah, then we just switch everything back over. Yeah.
So we should have like a year, through the end of this year. This gets us through the end of this fiscal year, this 42. What does
Hope
this
so.
take us?
Hope so.
Yeah. Okay, so that takes us through this end of this fiscal year. Then you'll come back one more time
Come back
for
into
next-
June
for next
year.
fiscal year,
We'll encumber all that money basically in PO, and then if we move, we'll just cancel.
because you
PO.
didn't put it in the operating budget this year.
Should we?
Well,
So wait, why would he have to come back? I guess
No,
just
but we don't for approval, that's all.
okay,
This is
okay.
just-
I'm like not an increase.
Yeah, we get to do this
Okay.
over and over.
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
It's
okay,
Groundhog Day.
okay, yeah, thanks. All right, any other questions?
Nope.
All right, so could I get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works Town Buildings Department to reimburse FJL Holdings for monthly electric charges for the temporary police department located at 39 Locust Avenue in an amount not to exceed $42,200. Steve,
Second.
Amy, it's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay.
Playhouse Theater change order approval.
So this is more of a legality issue. So we currently have a contract with Alton Bailey to do the work. And as you all know, CinemaLab has an escrow account where it says paying for all that after meeting. We're getting to that point now, we're gonna start having to contract, lock that up. So So it's not a change order in the traditional sense where we use our contingency money. In this case, we're using Cinemalab money. What I need is have the first selectman authorized to sign off on those change orders. And at that time, then we will transfer money from the escrow account to the town side, and then I can increase the value of the contract, we decrease the PO amount. So it's just a legal.
They've put more money, so I think you need to start out with saying Cinema Labs has put more money into the account than the 155 that was originally there. And so for them to be able to spend the additional money that they put into the account above the 155.
Was their initial amount 1.5 and now they're adding 50,000?
No.
Okay, so
This is
the budget was for the FFD was 15565. And then we have in the escrow gross in the escrow 1.8 million. And so there may be additional funds starting to trickle over as they get some finishes, some changes. As long as they pay for it, you know, we're good.
So we need to approve that.
Yeah, they're going to spend more
of their money,
not ours.
It's not our money, but it's our contract.
So we have to approve it because it's above what we initially approved, even though it's not our money.
Authorization for the first selectman to increase that
so they
contract, but we're not using town funds, we're using their funds. It's just a legal thing. And we have to go that route only because in order to cover it with the performance bond, payment bond, and insurances, we need to run it in through Alden Bailey's contract. So to keep it all safe and sound.
Any other questions?
When's it opening?
Spring.
Going soon.
Spring's in Marcus.
Yeah, it's a long season.
I hope so.
Okay, so if I could get the approval of request from the Department of Public Works Town Building Management and Improvement Program to allow the first selectman to increase the value of the contract with Alden Bailey by means of change orders for all the Cinema Lab related work at the Playhouse Theater project. Funds for these change orders will be transferred from Cinema Lab's escrow account into the project account. Steve, Amy, it's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, folks.
Okay, promotion. Cheryl.
This is happy stuff.
Yeah.
Nice stuff. Where is that promotion?
Good morning. We are looking to have you approve a promotion of Stefano Di Frederico to go to an irrigation specialist, groundsman 3. He has learned the irrigation systems throughout his time here. It's an open position in the budget, and he has taken courses on his own in irrigation.
Yeah, he's been a great addition to the parks maintenance crew, always willing to go above and beyond. He went and found some irrigation classes that he took at night, all on his own.
That's great.
So he's been doing a great job working very close with Ryan and Todd, helped with winterizing the irrigation systems. He's learning everything as he goes, and we think this is a good move.
Okay, great.
That's great.
All right. Any questions? No. All right, so if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Human Resources Director and the Director of Parks and Recreation to promote Stefano Di Federico instead of Frederico from groundsman 3 to irrigation technician.
So move.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to him.
All right, tree warden. All right, Bob's here. All right. Oh, goodness.
Morning.
Morning.
It's a big occasion.
I know.
I figured at least once a year we come in and take it. Yeah. So I am joined by Bob Moran, our tree warden. We're here to present his next bid. I think you have questions for Bob after, but if you want to do this, then you have questions. We went out to bid to our to everyone on our emergency list. Davy Tree came in at the low bid at $23,945. It's for 7 separate sections in town. They've done nice work for us in the past, and we recommend that we go forward with the contract with Davy Tree. And their money that is available in the current fiscal year budget, the tree service budget.
Any questions?
You have a list of those sites?
Oh, you didn't get it?
Yeah, they're
Go to the back. Sorry.
Go back.
Yeah.
We should just read that so the public knows where they are.
So yeah, It's the nature center, not the native
Yeah,
center.
yeah, there was a typo there.
So is that $6,000 for just 2 trees? Are there? I mean,
Yes, it's that big,
big, right? Yeah.
European beach as you come into the entrance on the right-hand side off that driveway that goes to the church. That is about 3/4 dead. It's been losing some large limbs. And also on that border, there's a dead pine tree that's been there for quite a while.
Yeah.
So by joining those two together, it's going to be less money than doing it separately.
Right.
Plus the stump grinding.
Yeah, some of these are pricey. The sugar maple, Frogtown and Ponus.
It's a big decayed sugar maple.
Yeah.
I got a call from, and I can't remember his name right now, from the country school who takes care of the grounds. We've been looking at that tree for quite a while.
Right.
And I would say probably half the crown is dead. There's a lot of decay in the trunk. Unfortunately, it's time before it could be a problem.
Yeah, before wind drops it down, right?
And that's a busy corner, obviously. It's right on that intersection.
So just Steve thought, and I think it's a good idea, let people know. So it's the New Canaan Native Center.
The Nature Center.
Okay, that was your typo.
Right.
What is the Native Center? So that's $59.50. The corner of Frogtown and Ponus, $58.50. Opposite 154 Cross Ridge, removing a dead ash for $3,500. Frogtown Road, opposite Llewellyn, remove 8 dead ash trees. Well, we're seeing it come through.
Are they littler? It must be
They're
littler.
small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're probably the biggest one is maybe 12-inch diameter.
Yeah.
Okay. 3120. 220 Rosebrook, remove leaning oak tree for $23.40. It's been a big one. Mead Park, remove uprooted spruce tree by the pond for $11.25. And Old Norfolk Road, New Canaan Preschool, prune the row of trees along the back border over the property to remove the dead or broken branches and remove a dead ash tree for $22,060.
When do you guys decide to grind the stumps out and when not to? Because some of these
I
are taken
do
in.
it when they're most visible on the shoulders of the road. It's one of my pet peeves to get rid of as many stumps as possible because they do have a tendency to multiply as we keep going.
Yeah.
Plus Eversource, when they take down trees, they don't take care of stumps either.
Yeah. It takes forever for a stump to
Right. We don't want to look like the Lorax. So,
That's
my pet peeve as well. I told Tom I don't want to look like the Lorax. So
Yeah.
if it's in an area where you necessarily can't see it because it's forested and it's ground covered, we'll leave it. If it's in a bed, like along the edge of the road, we'll take it. Or if it's in a maintained bed, say a property owner maintain that bed, then we would take it as well since it's all been maintained. But if it's not visual and it's hidden, then we won't expend the cost. There will be times, depending on how I'm going through my budget, I might put a group of stumps, say along Valley Road or wherever, where there's like line up like 6 or 7 stumps that haven't been taken care of in the past. I've taken care of a lot of them since I've been tree warden, but there's always seems to be more.
While we have you, for the public, so the process of marking these trees and making the public aware of the ones that are going to come down, we always put a sign up for a certain amount of time on the tree that
on trees that I mean,
right? So
yes,
or in public right of ways, that type of thing.
Correct.
One tree that comes to mind that we had marked that we ended up saving is right on Elm Street when we did the new brick sidewalk and the new fencing there. We had marked a pretty big tree there. The elm, and then we decided, okay, well, it's still healthy. We'll leave it. And
there was 2 elms there that I originally marked that I was requested to mark and then with possible removal. I posted them, got a little blowback.
Yep.
I was on the fence and I really didn't want to take them down anyways because they're still alive. And so instead of taking them down, we pruned them. And they still look great.
Yeah, and they did a nice job coming around them with
right. We accommodated the walk around it in the future, distant future, what have you, when the tree comes down, then we'll relocate the walk to the curbside. But at present, we talked about it, and the original plan was to have the walk along the curbside and have to remove those 2 trees. Bob was not in favor, but he was willing to post it, see exactly what the community feedback would be. Community feedback was they would like to see the trees saved. We could save the trees, so we
That's a great example of working together. So it's
Right. To your statement though, by state statute, he has to post the tree. The ones that he deems he's going to take down that are non-emergency related. Emergency related tree you can take down at the moment. But a non one, he has to post it for 10 days. Someone has a right to then, in writing, contact him with a complaint or a concern, and he has to have a hearing within a couple of weeks from there, and then still stay with his idea or his original direction of removing the tree, or he can change his opinion based upon the hearing. But by state law, you have to post it. Got to be posted in a place where you can see it, and then on the tree itself.
Oh, on the tree itself.
That
was my question.
Yeah, and then you have to wait 10 days from the posting date to be able to then, if there are no complaints, the tree can come down without a problem. If there are complaints, then you have to have a hearing within a certain time frame. That's mutually, that everyone agrees upon as a hearing time. But it's his role is all spelled out in the state statute. Yeah, he's completely guided by that.
But if anyone was to look at this list, dying, dead, dead. And for people, if there's a tree that's dying and it's kind of bordering your property, look at the prices. You'd be delighted that the town does it for you. And then you don't have a tree falling down on you. I mean, I think people forget trees do have useful lives that were different than the ash tree, right? But some trees just do get old. So I think.
And when I do get some questions on a posting, normally I can handle that over the phone or email. Most people are pretty reasonable.
Yeah, they just might wonder. Yeah.
I've had very few where I've had to go to the process of a hearing. So they understand once I show them, and especially if the tree needs to be replaced, we accommodate them and start over again.
How are we doing on keeping up on the tree demands? Okay.
As far as removal?
Yeah, just, there's a lot of trees in this town.
Yeah, there are. And
which is what's so cool about it.
We go through my budget every year and I try to balance things out. Like, for example, I put out a bid about once a month, try to put some in with the winter in mind, knowing I can get some cheaper prices. Right. It all depends on how busy my contractors are. They are bidding against each other, but if they've got a big backlog and their residential work, they're not going to give us a great price because they really don't need the work.
Right.
Well, we also need those guys when it comes to an emergency. They've helped us out
Correct.
a lot.
That's working out real well. The rotating of the 6 companies on a weekly basis. But we've had very few problems with response.
And you feel like you have enough resources to?
Yeah, that's the question I was trying to get.
But I'm sorry?
Do you have enough resources? I mean, do you feel like you?
Yeah, it's worked out well. Yeah. And I don't see any reason to change on anything right now. Unless one of these companies, for whatever reason, drops out, then, I can find another company.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some experienced guys. I mean, you look at this list between, Hutchinson and Alstead. I mean, there's some great companies out there.
What's kind of nice too is I've been in the business for a long time, so I know when a price is fair and when it isn't. I used to do all that.
Yeah, and it is very skilled, dangerous work, so you need the right people doing it.
Well, there's also cost of disposal, bucket, and everything else. So it's not cheap to take down a tree.
No.
Okay.
Great.
All right.
We appreciate everything you do.
Yeah,
We love seeing you once a year. So
yeah.
Thank you.
I might be showing up. I'm semi-retired.
No,
good.
Come back anytime.
All right, so if I could get a motion to approve a request from the tree warden to enter into contract with Davey Tree Expert in the amount of $23,945. The project entails the removal, pruning, and stump removal of various trees in town.
So
Steve, Amy, it's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys. It's good to see you. Wow. Approval of appointments. So approval of the following appointments. So I guess we'll just go one at a time.
Yes, please.
Okay. So first is Planning and Zoning Commission, and you all received, for all the appointments today, everyone received the CVs for all the appointments and an opportunity to meet with whoever they wanted to meet with. So Planning and Zoning, appointment of Eric Knowles as an alternate member for a 2-year term ending December 1st for the Planning and Zoning Commission. Any questions, or can I get a motion to approve?
Yeah, really accomplished person and a young person in town, which I think is great. So I definitely move.
Okay, so Amy, second, Steve, it's unanimous.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to Zoning Board of Appeals, appointment of Alex Snyder as an alternate member for a 2-year term ending December 1st, 2025. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Steve,
second.
Just a question on the terms. So is he filling a 2-year or are they all 2-year on
he is
ZBA?
filling, oh shoot, I don't have it with me. I think he might be fulfilling.
That's when the time is shorter than it's
Yeah.
because they're filling a term from somebody else.
Yeah, and this Alex, I found out, is also a volunteer firefighter in town. So somebody who's giving back a lot to the town and an attorney.
Yeah,
So
and you really attorneys are really important.
Yeah.
ZBA. So
Yeah.
I think that's
Great.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
moving on to audit committee.
That was Steve and Amy.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Good.
Audit committee. The motion, I need a motion to approve the appointment of Janet Lonaway and Tony Cece for 3-year terms ending December 1st, 2025. And this is subject to the confirmation of the town council.
They're replacing the 3.
Yes.
So we have, okay.
Unexpired terms.
All right. So I do know, just to bring this up in the
Yeah.
audit committee, we have 2 current audit members who have rolled over, are in their 4th term, which is kind of not the audit rules, right?
Correct.
And I would say if any committee should follow the rules, it should be the audit committee. So is there any way, I'm going to ask you, Deanna, that we can, because I think one of these is filling a vacancy, correct?
Correct. Tony would be taking the vacancy that was created when George Moranis moved away.
Right.
So
And
that
both folks terrifically qualified. Right. Terrifically qualified. Is there a way that we can have these 2 individuals go in to replace the 2 members who have rolled over, so we get rid of that non-compliance in terms of the people who are, and then backfill the open space next? That's just my question.
Yep. So we had a legal opinion about this, and we were told that as long as we are making a best efforts to find replacements for those individuals who were improperly reseated in the last administration,
Right.
that we are okay rolling them until we find a solution and we find a replacement. And I will tell you that I have had meetings with multiple candidates to try and find a replacement. We are really fortunate to have Tony and Janet, who are amazingly qualified. I am having a hard time finding the next one. This is a very tough board to fill because you need very specific qualifications. And a lot of people have conflicts. Like I just lost a candidate recently, unbelievably qualified, because she serves on a corporate board and a corporate audit committee, and they do not want her serving for the town. So, we're going to have to work hard, but so
the question is, what's the I mean, I know
there's no legal issue. I've checked all of this. But
why can't we just have these 2 people?
Because we want a full audit committee, and the full complement of an audit committee is 5, and we've been working with 4. So if we don't, so the expectation is, as soon as I can find the last candidate, Ed Kangas would roll off because he's the last to have been improperly reseated. But until we find that last person, to have a full functioning audit committee, we need to keep him on. I would like to I don't think it's great to have these committees that are not fully, I'm working to seat all the boards and commissions with their full complement. And so that's my recommendation.
Okay, so there is, your goal is to have a full group, even though we have 2 people who rolled on. I'm just wondering, could we have these 2 folks replace the 2 guys who rolled forward and should not have been rolled forward, and then just backfill the open space with your next person? That's my question.
I think there's some resistance to resigning until we have a full complement.
Okay.
And I just want to point out that we also did get a legal opinion that the 2 that rolled on to the 4th term, it's under the savings clause, which is consistent. In other words, at that time we had vacancies. They were allowed to stay on until we actively find a replacement, so.
And you're getting pushback from people putting the resignation in.
Until we have a full complement, until we have.
Which is out of your control.
That's out of my.
Okay.
So I think from their perspective, they just want to see a smooth transition and whatever institutional knowledge they can provide, they want to provide it. And,
right. And we do have a very, I mean, luckily Janet is returning, so she's, you know, she'll have institutional knowledge, but, you know.
Yeah, and Tony has looked at, we chatted, multiple municipal audits, including New Canaan quite a long time ago.
Yes.
So it's just, my having a muni background, municipal is different.
Yeah.
And so having someone, yes, a CPA, but someone who has municipal experience, you know, corporate stuff doesn't always transfer. So I think that's a real plus.
Yeah, Tony's
yeah.
And, you know, and Mary Cody is another addition who has all that Board of Finance experience. So that's there is a ton of experience coming on there too. So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good group, and it sounds like your hands are tied. So and then as soon as you can find someone, we'll address that rollover issue. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So that was a long discussion.
Yeah. Definitely short with the audit committee.
It was a good discussion.
So could I get a motion to approve the appointments of Janet Lanaway and Tony Ceci for 3-year terms ending December 1st, 2025, subject to confirmation by the town council?
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's unanimous. Thank you. TDAC, appointment of Kirsten Roche for a 3-year term ending December 1st, 2024.
This is just to replace Greg.
Right. So she's replacing, Kirsten is the executive director of the Glass House. And so she is replacing the
one
right. Yep. So could I get any questions or comments? So could I get a motion to approve the appointment of Kirsten Roche for a 3-year term ending December 1st, 2024?
So moved.
Steve, Amy, it's unanimous. And then Health and Human Services Commission, appointment of Raquel Harrison for a 3-year term ending December 1st, 2026. Any questions or concerns?
That's filling a role, an open spot. Or...
Yes, no, somebody resigned. Okay. So we had a resignation on the Health and Human Services Commission, and this is to fill that, and they're meeting later this week to, so it'd be good to have that filled. So could I get a motion to approve? Sure. Steve, Amy, it's unanimous. Okay.
And at the risk of having these meetings go longer, I just have to say, I don't think the people of New Canaan have any idea the depth of experience and knowledge of everybody I talk to. It's like, we are so lucky to have all these people who have all these skills and raise their hand. I mean, literally I go, wow, I've done nothing with my life. Wow, I've done nothing with it. Just, it's really, we're just really, really fortunate. And so thank you everybody for raising your hand.
I know, I felt like we probably should have put Dr. Raquel.
Yes, we should have,
because she is a doctor as a million other degrees. So.
I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. We're really, really a lucky town.
Yeah. Okay, contracts. So contracts under $10,000. You have any questions or concerns on the contracts under $10,000?
It's like $10,000 supply blanket POs. That's just various.
So they need for Amazon. Is that the Amazon one?
Yeah.
So in order to
capital services,
and I mean you can talk to this, but in order for we have an account with Amazon Business Services or something, and so for any of the departments to charge against that, we have to have a purchase order in place for you can
the Amazon account.
We consolidated all the different Amazon accounts into one to get a municipal one, certainly for tax exempt reasons. And Amazon coordinates with your system and allows you to put in your PO and your account numbers. So we can control the spending of, if someone has a PO over here, but they're spending on Amazon, you've no idea what they're spending over here and they could go over budget. So it's a good control system as well. So in the fact that we use a purchase order, we have to follow the policy. So if you're going to spend through Amazon over 10,000, it's got to come in front of the board, the normal purchasing process with a PO.
Over 10, but under this keeps it a watch.
Yeah, it just keeps a watch too, and also it's a really good control system on, you know, spending over here in your budget versus spending on Amazon.
So this is a bunch of people's expenses coming together, but they're all approved and they're signed off.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. Moving on to going back to the budget approval. We're back. Going back. Hey, how do we do? It's like, do we need a drum roll? We need some.
There is.
Oh yeah, we got paper. I like that.
Wow. All right.
You printed too?
Update.
Oh, so helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what's being read. That's what's being read. No. There we go. Just put out one small thing like this. Okay. Well, down my own instance, a couple of them. Most of them are both.
Okay.
Just
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We did good, guys.
Yeah.
We did good.
So I believe we started on the town operating side at
588.
Now
But who was paying attention?
and right now it's 467.
Okay. So we took over 1% off today, guys.
And that's only
And
on
that's
the,
not including.
that's only on the town side, not including library, outside agencies, so tax capital and so on.
Yeah. Yeah, we lost almost 50 basis points, not quite 50 basis points on the overall.
It's 609.
Yeah. It's 646.
What is it? Okay.
I don't know. Hold on. You know better than. Okay, so do I just start reading or do I need to?
Should I share this on my screen?
Yes.
Sure.
Oh, I don't think yeah.
But that's
Josh,
without any, can we flip to the?
wait, no, this,
Okay. No, I'm not.
the second page amount.
I was just going to, the tax collection projection,
Yes.
which is a plug, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we didn't really make progress there.
On the back.
Yeah, what was that number starting at?
I think I have it
Right here, it was 842. It was 842 versus. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
That was
No, the original 75.
No.
No.
so the one that I
yeah,
gave
today's
you
was 42.
But that didn't include Board of
Board of Ed was
ISM.
made-
Oh, they didn't have that in the original. There was no Board of Ed in there. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's just whooshka. That's huge.
That's big. That's still a big number.
That's a big
Yeah.
number.
Even after
Yeah.
cuts.
There's.
I was so excited seeing the town budget.
Flip the page.
Okay, and that, look, that's just a plug, and that's not that. Okay, so we just in terms of where we might have stuff that offsets it. All right, so what do we have coming down from the savings account? 5,000 in this, 5 million, 6
5 in there, yeah.
5 million. Okay, so the ARPA funds will be 700. That'll help. Okay, and the question is, where are other pockets?
Yeah, and that's where, like, and you've served on the Board of Finance for a long time, and that's what the Board of Finance is really good at finding those.
Yeah, though, that's helped us to keep our taxes down because we've had pockets, but at some point you don't have the pockets.
I know we've been eliminating.
Right. So, which I think stresses the need. And again, we're not commenting on Board of Ed operations, but to just municipals. We're about people and staffing. So the more people we have, that drives our expenses. So to the extent we can do that, but that's.
I mean, over the next month, we're going to be getting better numbers on what bond premium we might get from going out to bond in March and what fund balance we might be able to use in the tax supported to offset some of the some of that. I think also extra duty. We haven't gotten the exact number yet. How much
for what? I'm sorry.
The extra duty fund. How much we can put police capital against that. Maybe
Right.
a couple $100,000 or so. So in the next month or so, we'll be able to at least tighten up those numbers and bring it down. You know,
Yeah, I mean, so maybe we can find 2 million-ish. I'm just million,
Probably
even with
more.
ARPA money?
Oh, no,
Right.
ARPA would be, yeah.
Okay,
probably
which,
170.
can you just mess with this, Josh, real quick? So like, if we,
yeah. What do you,
Just a quick,
what number would you like?
She can't leave the Board of Finance.
well, no, because, you know, it's, I mean, we could just say, here, everyone give us our budgets, move it forward, and you guys deal with it, but I don't
No,
think we're
we-
gonna do that, right? You know,
Yeah, we
so,
worked on it.
so, like, for instance, if we could, you know, if we could find another $2 million, we'd be raising taxes by 9, right? 10 million versus 12 million. So
If we got 2 million.
yeah, well, how would that help us in terms of our year over year?
yeah, so you're saying get that down to 10.
Yeah, and by the way, if you did have a bond premium, that could give you another million, that could be 3 more.
Well, we've already taken into account 500,000.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So we're trying to get the closing to be literally the week that the Board of Finance is
Right,
voting, so we
okay.
can get that in place for whatever.
So we
they
might
decide.
have.
Yeah, so we could have another 500 plus.
Yeah. I'm just trying to.
So if you took off 2 million,
Mhm.
I just removed the tax supported capital since that's about 2 million. Then it would be at 6.6% of tax collecting increase. We'd be at
Okay.
about
So
160.
a million gives you 0.5%, just more or less. A million in savings, just in terms of rough play
Yeah.
out. Okay. So, you know, then because that's how we looked at it. We looked at, okay, we were going up by 6%. How do we get it to 5%? So, and that's going to be, I think, the challenge when they look at the Board of Ed budget and capital list. So
I mean, I remember specifically listening to Mike Chen saying, we got it done this year, but be aware that next year it's going to hurt. And, you know, you were at those meetings too, but we've got to figure out a way to keep that number. I mean, that's a giant number. We haven't seen a number like that in a long time. So
no, I think if we came in like, if they can help us get down to like 5 is reasonable, right? Because we did have
the goal.
We did have things that jumped in that people signed off on. We signed off on having 3 more police officers.
Right.
That's just a straight out expense, right? We did sign off on the Board of Ed side of the reading specialists, right? So we knew another one was going to come on. Not sure if we understood there's going to be 4, not 3. We do have more kids in the school. We're going to need teachers for some of those lower grades. Okay. The other stuff is probably not so okay.
Yeah, that's the area where peeling back is going to be really, really important.
Yeah. So $1 million brings us down 1%. Okay? More.
Is it 0.5%?
0.5%. Oh, we have 0.5%. Yeah. So 2 million. Okay. So we need to find savings, you know, of 6 million. Okay. We found 2, kind of, sort of. Okay. So.
Like losing weight, though, the first 2 seem to be the easiest.
Yeah, but we not easy going
No,
through this
we
with folks. And I know, Deanna, before they even came to us, you were tough. So
It didn't seem like it moved the needle a whole lot.
No, because I mean, you're used to, like, if you eliminate in the thousands, like it makes a dent, but in this with these numbers, thousands, you need millions to make a dent.
Yeah, I mean, it's $171 million in revenues. Well, actually, so it's total expenditures.
Well, you're also coming off the one time using the reserve from the ISF last year.
Well, and that was some of the points that.
Yeah.
No, but we've done that for years, been finding pockets. Okay. And I kept saying, let's use it for capital, you know, and not pay down the mill rate. So, you know, that didn't go.
But we have to focus on those folks. You know, we keep coming back to that 25%. I mean, somebody out there has a 25% increase coming, and you know those tend to be big numbers. So
yeah, like if you went up by 25%, you're probably flat, right?
Yeah.
It's the people who had the 40, 60. And look at some people were really lucky. They bought when the market was low. It got priced at that, you know, so it'll be a surprise. Other people, I mean, there are some people who have like done nothing to the property, but the value of their land has gone up. So
I mean, it's definitely a townwide shared team, but we just don't want other people that are not expecting.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Oh, and it's the only, if we raise 92% of our revenue from property tax, the only equitable way to do it is to try to keep the taxation relative to the value of your property. I mean, that's the only equitable way to do it. As stuff fluctuates, it can hurt people or help people.
All right, so.
All right,
here
we go. Okay, so.
But is there a way to amend it with that savings, or there's?
But then there's a couple things it doesn't include, like if we ask the library to do a little better. I mean, not those huge numbers, but they help. What doesn't it include in here?
The ones that we're looking at that we need some more time.
Yeah.
Additional premium.
Right.
Possibility of extra duty to put against police.
Okay, that's cash. Yeah.
And tax supported itself, the fund balance, use of fund balance on more projects.
Okay.
So.
But does this include when we talked about, and I'm sorry if I missed it, asking the library to do a little better? Does that include
that's below the line? Yeah.
Okay.
In here is everything that we've talked about.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Okay. So, yes, I will just go line by line. Some of these items I just need to read and some of we need to vote on. So, so this is the approval of the proposed 2024-2025 fiscal budget for the general fund. Total town budget of $42,204,366. Total Board of Ed operating and health insurance transfer budget, $109,827,487. Total Board of Ed expenses paid by town budget, $1,082,730. Tax funded capital budget. I need my getting down. I need my so tax funded capital budget, $1,924,825. Debt service budget, $17,633,064. 64.
No, she said 633. It's 660.
Sorry, thank you. All right, let me redo that. Debt service budget, $17,663,064. Non-wage contingency budget, $350,000. Total library budget, $2,871,752. Transfers and outside agencies budget, $852,000, leading to a total general fund operating expenditures budget, which I will need a vote on, of $176,776,224. Do I have a motion to approve?
So,
Steve.
Second.
It's unanimous. Unanimously painful. Okay. Now, each of these items we need to vote on. The first being the general fund revenue budget total of $9,623,792. Do I have a motion to approve?
so
Steve.
Second.
Amy. It's unanimous. Fund balance contribution of $5 million. Do I have a motion to approve? Amy. Steve. It's unanimous. Amount to be raised by taxation, $162,152,432. They have motion to approve. Steve, Amy, it's unanimous. And total general fund operating revenue budget total of $171,776,224. Steve, Amy, it's unanimous. Okay, moving on to the sewer operating and capital funds. The sewer fund operating expense budget total of $1,919,820. Sewer fund non-bonded capital budget of $325,000, leading to a sewer fund revenue and expense budget of $2,244,820. Do I have a motion to approve? Steve, Amy, it's unanimous. Other funds. Parking fund revenue and expense budget, $135,000. Railroad fund revenue and expense budget, $168,000. Rental property fund expense budget, $40,000. Rental property fund revenue budget, $15,000. Waveney Pool Fund revenue and expense budget, $585,415. Movie Theater Fund revenue and expense budget, $125,000. Recreation and Wedding Fund expense budget, $1,363,499. Recreation and Wedding Fund revenue budget, $1,359. Oh, she's sorry. $1,359,580, leading to an overall total other funds expense budget of $2,416,914. Do I have a motion to
I have a
approve?
question first on this. Okay, so I'm just trying to understand how the movie theater fund and revenue expense budget. The 125, that just reflects the revenue.
The 125 is the revenue, and the 125 on expenditures as well. So
it's a revenue and an expense.
So in the contract, so
right,
to base your question on, in the contract is the cinema lab place, they will assume all the utilities. There's utilities in there now because there needs to be a split done. Bill was explaining that they haven't done this split that needs to happen, so there will be some utilities that we will incur, but the rest of the utilities are on the Playhouse, cinema lab. There is also
what I'm just trying to understand, if this is basically saying I'm bringing in 25, I'm spending 125. Is no money coming to the town from the movie theater? That's why I'm just confused.
No, because it's all into its own fund.
But but we're spending every penny.
We're not.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just don't understand that.
They're not. So you'll look at the top where it's a contingency. The 40,000 is a contingency. There are major maintenance that the town will be required to do, but there is a lot of maintenance that the leasing will need to pay. So
the electricity, the fuel, the water, that's our expense?
Not all of it. The first year, there's a split out that has to happen. I talked to Bill briefly on this. There's a split out. So there's a portion that will be ours, but the rest will be on the town. It can be carved down smaller, but what would happen is if they're not spent, it runs up to the fund balance. And at a future point, when we start accruing in that fund, if there's enough that the town wants to take back into the general fund, it can. It'll stay in its own fund until a point that you want to transfer over.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this one because the idea was that the movie theater was supposed to pay us $125,000 at least would help offset the debt service associated with the $6.5 million we have. And yeah, we're gonna maybe get 2 from the state, and yeah, we used funds, but it's basically use of $6.5 million of taxpayer revenue, and which is about $500,000 expense. So say
if you think of it from the timing perspective, I'm not going to bond until now, which won't hit until another year.
Yeah.
So the year will be underway at that point. That we will have what the ongoing, the normal, what we would be if there's a major maintenance, not all the smaller maintenance the new leasee is responsible for. At that point, if the decision is to make sure that we're covering the debt, you can do what we call the transfer out, transfer in, taking it from the movie fund and putting it to the operating fund to cover the debt service on that.
But so all of these utility expenses are town utility expenses?
They're not.
So this isn't really reflecting.
This is
within the fund.
It's an estimate right now. We're trying to get the split out for when they start. So when they open, Bill said there's a compactor and some other things that need to be split out from the system to be able to who pays what. There'll be a small portion that will eventually go away. That's the town. So he left money in here right now for the case that he may need it until they do that split. And if it's not spent, it just rolls up into the fund balance.
So these are assumptions that if it operates and we pay every single expense of it, this is what the 125 would net out. But we're not really expecting to pay all.
We're not expecting at all to pay a lot of this.
So why do we represent it like this? I mean,
there was the decision on how they wanted to budget just for the first year.
Who's they? I'm seriously, who is they here? I don't really care what cinema wants to do. I want to know what we want to do.
Bill felt he needed to make sure, that he needed some money in there until we get up and running.
They are supposed to pay us rent as soon as the thing opens.
Yes.
We should have money coming in, and they're supposed to pay the electricity and all that stuff once they take over. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I'll approve it and hopefully the fans get it done.
No expenditures that could come out of that. So if there's a town expense, it'll come out of here. Say if that's split, once that's split for the utilities, we can always reduce the budget after the fact. If we say now we're done, you know, July, August, we say everything's functioning the way it is. We'll say, okay, lower these budgets now because we're no longer responsible because we've done this split. We can take those budgets down to probably, they'll probably need to keep something in reserve for if a boiler went. Shouldn't, because everything's brand new in the building, but the town's responsible for the major
infrastructure. Yeah.
They're responsible for everything else.
Right.
But how that's going to work is the town's going to do the work and they reimburse us. That's a balance sheet item. So that'll be on the AR side of things.
Okay. So if I look at this, you know, for next year, there's a $40,000 contingency item. Let's assume they don't spend that. That would basically, the movie theater fund balance would grow
that.
And then hopefully all these expenses, and they're not really our expenses, so that we get close to the 125.
Exactly. And then the year we start paying those principals, we should have money in the fund balance for
principal and interest, right?
Principal and interest to be able to transfer that in as an operating transfer to cover that.
Yeah, which will cover just a small percent, just so we know. Okay.
Well, as it's a new entity and a new, you know, we're all worrying on this together. And I think to Amy's point, we all want to stay on top of all this. So I think, you know, an occasional report from you or Bill as far as where we are and how it's working over the next, you know, year.
Definitely. Definitely.
Quarterly.
And like I said, we can
quarterly
once we know.
You don't want to get caught like, wait, how are we upside down
here?
Yeah, quarterly. Okay. As soon as it opens, quarterly. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So
we need a motion there.
Yeah, motion to vote.
So I motion to vote on the total other funds expense budget of $2,416,914.
So moved.
Steve, Amy, it's unanimous. Okay, this completes the approval.
Fee memos. We just had to take a vote on the fee memos.
Fee memos.
Oh,
just to approve the changes.
You say that so fast. I think I'm thinking FEMA.
That's what she said. That's exactly what she said.
I had it like highlighted on my screen here. Don't forget fee memos.
Okay. So go back.
So you just need a motion and somebody to second it to approve the fee memo changes as presented.
Okay. So could I get a motion to approve the fee memo changes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Amy, Steve.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay. This completes the approval process of the Board of Selectmen for proposed 2024-2025 fiscal budget. The budget will now be forwarded to the Board of Finance as per town charter. Thank you, everyone, for all your hard work. I know it's been we've been doing this since Thanksgiving.
And you get to continue along.
I know. And think of me kindly when I'm sitting there at the Board of Finance. So
you get to hear it again too.
Yeah.
Well, you have our list of
well, and that's going to go into a letter that I'm writing, and maybe I'll just word it to you before I do it.
You might want to make the observation of, $1 million savings pulls the amount down because I think that gives some target information. So stuff is just more expensive. Some stuff like fuel stuff is more expensive, and
to be fair, we didn't really go into this because of all the transition that was happening. Normally, we'll set a guidance as the Board of Finance has done in the past. I'd like to continue to do that going forward next year. Certainly, our guidance wouldn't have been let's keep it this 8% or something. So we really do need a hard look at. I think a 5% is a lofty goal, but I'd love to see it somehow get there.
Yeah. That's crazy that we're now thinking 5% is great. I mean, thank you, inflation, right?
But
inflation's only 3.14 now or something.
No, but we had a number of years where we got lucky because we had contracts in place that did not reflect inflation. I mean, there's mismatch, right?
Yeah.
And we have drawn down our fund balance to pay down over the last number of years to pay down our mill rate. So at some point you can't.
The BOF still have a couple of levers that they can use, and I'm hoping that
couple quippers.
Yes. So, and they're very good at that. Todd does a great job. So hopefully
let's
see further reductions there.
All right. So any other selectmen comments? Okay. So if I could get a motion to adjourn. Steve, Amy.
Can we stay longer?
And Josh, thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
And thanks for this real time. This is-
Yeah,
that really helps.
Yeah, I like my paper. I mean, I want